Ooh, this week we have a very special guest. We have Sir Jordan Brill, who's been recently knighted in Nashville. He owns Starfolk Tattoo, and he is a great folky friend of mine. And hope you enjoy our time from Buffalo to the IE to San Diego and to the South. This is the Unite and Win podcast right now. Jordan Brill, the bad boy from Buffalo, some may say. All right. Be real. And this is a real question. It's going to test of honesty. You ready?
Okay.
Do we have the better view of Niagara Falls, or does Canada?
Probably us.
What? You're a liar. You're pandering.
I don't know.
That sounds like bullshit. It sounds like bullshit.
Maid of the Mist is on our side. That's
Yeah.
the boat that gets you under there. And
That's true.
I've been on that. I like that view.
I've heard they call you the Maid of the Mist. The Mist
bad
Maiden.
boy.
Yeah.
I thought I was the bad boy from Buffalo. You're just making stuff up.
No, you got many names. Mist Maiden, some might say, or Buffalo Bad Boy. I've heard today.
That was a haiku.
It might be a new one. I don't know.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. It's been known. It's well established. So you were like washing dishes, and then you started cooking and got into the whole Guy Fieri field before tattooing, right?
I had a ticket to Flavortown. I started in restaurants. A lot of people told me I should be a chef. Self-taught cook and everything. So I bought my ticket to Flavortown. I went to culinary school in New York and New York City. I should distinguish.
Did you have to move out to the city?
Yeah. So Buffalo is like a 5 or 6 hour drive from New York.
Yeah.
So I had to. Luckily, I have 2 older sisters that were both already living there.
Oh, that helps. Yeah.
So I got to, float a little bit and couch surf while I found a spot. But yes, I had a whole nother career before I was a tattoo artist. Yeah.
That seems like smart and healthy. I think now that tattooing is like respected and to a lot considered a career, I think people come into tattooing with no work experience and no work ethic, and then they come into tattooing as a job, but this is corny. It's a lifestyle. The reason I say that,
hate when people say that.
The reason I say it is because I guess when I started tattooing, I kind of felt like I just wanted to tattoo, and if I didn't make money, I never had money before, and I wanted to make tattoo. It wasn't like, oh, I want to make this type of tattoo, or I want to be this type of person, or I want to be well known. I just wanted to tattoo because tattooing anything was cooler than tattooing nothing. Now everyone's flexing, so people want to tattoo because they want the things they think tattooing can provide. They don't actually want to tattoo. They want to tattoo the least for the most, not tattoo the most. You know what I'm saying?
It's not intrinsic value.
Yeah, it's just
they
changed.
have to like get something else out of it.
And I mean, that's absolutely fair, but I feel like, and tattooing is a hustle, but I don't know. I think that if you have a career prior to tattooing, at least, you understand how to work. And if it's slow tattooing, you're still grateful to be having that downtime in the shop rather than, I don't know, maybe you have more experience in like describing that. Like, was there a pay cut when you started tattooing?
That's an understatement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you did it for the love, not for like the money. Money can come, but it's not guaranteed and it can go away tomorrow. It's not stable like having a restaurant that's going to be open tomorrow that has a lunch rush and has a busy dinner. Tattooing, it's like you can have a slow Friday and payday isn't for you that day.
Right. That's the funny thing is you can have a slow day at the restaurant, and me as as a executive chef, I got paid the same, whether it was busy or not.
Right.
It's not commission based.
Right.
Tattooing, you have a slow day, you panic.
Right.
And so, whenever somebody asks me about wanting to learn how to tattoo, which I don't know. Maybe do I draw these people or is it everybody now? I guess probably
It's everybody. It's everybody.
But when people approach me, I literally ask them, have you ever worked in a restaurant?
Mm.
And if they say no, they go way down the list. I mean, to this day, I've never like officially apprenticed anybody, so take that with a grain of salt. But
right,
just there's the work ethic. B, the crazy hours. If you're a bad waitress or waiter, you do not make as good of money as if you're great at it.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So, and then it's a lot of, especially back of the house. It's a lot of pressure. You know, it's a gnarly job. And so most importantly is you're dealing with people.
Yeah.
A lot of jobs are so isolated. It's behind a screen. It's like emailing between two people. But when you have to work in a kitchen with somebody, like so my final job before I finally left the business altogether, I was the chef of a restaurant in Manhattan. So kind of a big deal.
Right.
I was 25 years old. That's it. Burned out like you cannot believe. And the kitchen, you were joking about this room is kind of small. The restaurant's kitchen to pump out over 100 seats was half the size of this.
How does that work?
Oh, you have ovens behind you. You have a salamander or a broiler above you. You know, you have a refrigerator by your knees. It's crazy. I mean, you turn around, you could literally like, you know, hit the oven with your spatula.
So it's like really choreographed. Like you got to all be in sync.
And the pressure is gnarly, dude. Everybody's screaming at each other.
So it's like The Bear?
Yeah. So true story. Yeah. Everybody asked me that. Oh, have you seen the show The Bear?
Right.
I have so much like trauma from working in the restaurant business. I have zero interest in watching anything restaurant based.
Yeah.
Like even a movie like I don't know. They make movies about
what about SpongeBob? Chef. Is that like hard?
Why do you say that? Oh, Krabby Patty.
It gets hectic.
Yeah. I mean, Mr.
Krabs is breathing down your neck.
Somebody like pointed a gun at my head.
Whoa.
Like, but it was weird because like ironically it's like for like $10 an hour. Hopefully it's better in New York City now. But pretty much what's really ironic is at least it was 10 years ago, the better job you have, like the better clout. Like I worked at this amazing restaurant.
Right.
I was chef de partie or whatever at this restaurant. The less you get paid. The higher you move up, the less you get paid per hour, essentially. Because they get you on salary.
Yeah, I was going to say, if they switch, because you get on salary, it seems cool at first, but they work you to death in return.
They work you to death, yeah. So around that time, I met the gal that's now my wife. We've been married over 10 years now. And I was thinking, all right, nights, weekends, holidays, all the time the restaurant people work. And I'm like, well, what if we have a family? I'm obviously going to marry this girl.
Yeah.
We were married like 9 months after we met.
Damn.
Yeah. We were like strangers, 9 months, married, moved out of state. Crazy.
That's cool.
But anyway, it was real. And I was like, well, there's no future in this. So at least not a future in which I see my kids and stuff like that.
Right.
To this day, no kids yet, but kind of setting it up. Like the whole thing has been like a big setup, you know, for to be able to have a large family and afford it and be around, you know. My dad, very, very hard worker. But that's one of his big regrets is like, he's like, dude, I was working so hard and like, we weren't living fat or anything, but it was just, that's what it took to live on one income, 4 kids. My mom stayed at home for the most part. So he said that's one of his big regrets. It's like, I worked too hard for no reason. You know, I should have just been around more. It wasn't bad. He was just trying to do the right thing. But
yeah, especially,
so I don't want to repeat that.
Right. And I feel like kids they just want to hang out. Like they're a cheap date. You can go to the park for free. Like
they don't care at all.
They don't give a fuck. You know, I remember I moved around every couple of years growing up. My mom wanted to provide like a bigger house. And I just wanted a mom. You know what I mean? Like I didn't give a fuck. And I was like a latchkey kid. I was never at the house. I was out in the streets, like up to no good because mom was at work all the time. So it's like, I don't think that, and I think, just being around is very important if you want to be the one raising your kid.
Yeah, you see a lot of that out here in SoCal. Mom and dad both working like a dog, all these hours. And then like, I was just saying to my wife the other day, we were talking about some people that we know from out here. They're empty nesters. Their kids aren't going to college. They're living their lives and whatever.
Right.
And they're still like, they live in the IE, commuting to Orange County for work every day. You're talking about 14 hours work days when you take in commutes. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Right.
Like, the kids are doing good.
Yeah.
You can't make them better, you know?
Right.
Like, you have a house or whatever. Even if you don't, I mean, these days, man, you have a freaking fantastic house, but
thank you.
You're welcome. I got to pee in that toilet, so it was all worth it.
I feel like people push it even further too. Like when I went to buy this place, it was obviously a conversation, a temptation to buy even further out, you know? And it's like you save quite a bit by losing quite a bit of time, and it's like, I don't want to spend 20 minutes extra in my car to save $1 at the end of the month. I want to be in the house that I bought, you know? So for me, my only regret is I didn't buy even closer to my shop. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to be where everything's at. I don't want to like love my house and then have to drive an hour to get to it.
People forget that like life is not happening tomorrow. It's today, you know, good. It's right now. And I try and do that. I try and live that out because I think you and I are kind of very similar in that we're always working on the next project. We're always thinking about like, and it's like at a certain point, my wife is like my polar opposite I'm very grateful for that because she checks me a lot. And so she's like, why would you do that? Like, okay. Yeah. She just like questions me on that kind of stuff. And so, you're right. Like to commute less, that is worth it more than like, well, then we could have an extra $1,000 left over it.
Also, I think like even if it costs more to live closer, like I think it's such a short term thought because like long game, it's like if you're putting hundreds of thousands of miles in your car, you have to get a new $30,000 car every few years. The amount of oil change, the amount of gas, the amount of time, like the amount of stress. Like I think it overall, like to me, it seems cheaper, like as far as time and value, it's cheaper for me to spend more to live closer than it is to spend more time in my car to live farther. I don't know how that makes sense.
No, it's like buying a new car and then running it into the ground rather than just buying beaters over and over and over. Right. Which there's a time and a place to buy a beater, you know? I've never
felt more like I got a better deal than when I had that, you know? Like I remember, my first cars were $1,000 cars with 100,000 mile transmission problems. And I would just get another one. Who gives a fuck? And then I remember me and Yessie, we bought this 1990 Ford Escort for my dad's friend. It was $600. It was nothing. It had 60,000 miles. Yessie bought it. I had no fucking money. She put $400 down. I put $200 down. We had this car and we ran that thing. I don't know, maybe 100 something thousand. We had it for a few years. You know what I mean? And it's like, and then when it broke down and was done, it was a $1,000 transmission problem on a $600 car. I sold to pick apart for $400. Like, what a return, dude! Like,
wow.
Yeah, it was like incredible.
If you were to like, if you would have rented it, it would have come out to like, you get to use this car for pennies a day.
Yeah, 80% return on your investment.
Yeah, after a long time, and you got to use it.
Yeah, so. And it's like, and so to me, it was like. When people asked me what my best car was, and it was something like that. And then we bought like a Nissan Versa, and it was like a newer used car. And it's like, I was spending $500 a month on this car with like a shitty interest thing. So I was young, I didn't have credit. And it's like, once it was paid off, the thing was done running, you know? And it's like, I could have got just as much juice out of the, $600 car. And then now I bought this other newer car, this like little Honda hybrid thing. And every mile I drive on it, it's less valuable. And it's kind of like, man, I kind of want to get rid of it and just get an old piece of shit. You got clowned on.
You feel like a clown driving around, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Do you feel that way about tattoo machines? Like you
Go on.
Because I go back and forth because like.
Oh, is it the worth the extra price, like the fancier thing?
Yes,
right?
Because you see, like right now, I'll just be blunt and say I'm in the market. I'm commissioning somebody to build me a bulldog.
Right.
One of like the dudes that builds bulldogs.
Yeah.
And then you see, like a Scott Serling, bulldog is like $1,000.
Right.
For one machine, not a pair, and you're like, well, I don't know.
Like, are you paying for the name or is it worth it? Like,
I've tattooed most of my career with pretty crappy machines.
yeah.
I always, it's just some stupid rule I made for myself. Like, if I can tattoo with a piece of crap machine, like it's me.
Yeah.
It's not like the machine. But also tattooing with a, expensive machine, I feel like it's usually worth the cheddar.
It's pretty nice.
Because I've gotten tattooed by people that like say went full rotary, right? I'm not even going to get into that debate. But it's because they know, and I respect it, like whatever, like they know that it's always going to run like that.
I mean, it's like different tools, different jobs, right? Like I have a 68 Ford F-250. I also have a 2023 hybrid Honda. So it's like, what's going to get me to San Diego a little more comfortable on less gas? And what can I put wood in the back of and drive to Norco today, So I think it's not one or the other, but sometimes if you have the capability, both is kind of tight.
Do you ever tat with crappy machines?
Yeah. I'm pretty spoiled and pretty bougie right now.
I know.
I do think I can tattoo with anything. And I will say this, quality is definitely a thing. There definitely is a difference. And a lot of it comes down to what do you want to vote with your dollar? Who do you want to support, right? Like who's the person you want to buy the machine from? That's a big part of it for me. But also I think ironically it comes down to not good or bad, but just familiarity and comfortability and what you're used to. I can grab a wonky fucking pen from who knows where and give me a couple tattoos and I could find some merit in the thing, and then give me the Scott Sterling thing and it's like, oh man, this is like built on Sailor Jerry's bulldog mold and oh my, this is like the one, and it'll be the shit, but I think sometimes a lot of tattooers base what they use not off of knowledge or quality, but off of like suggestion and superstition. They're like, I use this because, and instead of giving you a real answer, they say because so-and-so told me to use it or because their favorite tattooer also uses it. Not because they have a reason why, but it comes down to like marketing and superstition.
There is so much of that crap in tattooing. Yeah. I've always been a questioner. I'm a self-taught tattooer for anybody that doesn't know that.
Right.
I taught myself how to tattoo.
Right.
And I people always ask like, how would you do that? Who did you tattoo? All those like obvious questions. But what I did was I took notes. It sounds really simple. And I'm just a firm believer in like experimentation. And there'll be times where I'll be like, I want to use this tattoo machine for what it's not designed to do.
Oh yeah.
Like, this is a shader. I'm going to line with it today. And like whatever, like just to be weird.
Well, it's all what you're comfortable with. And I mean, I've had plenty of like, you have a liner and maybe that you haven't turned that contact screw in a while and it's not hitting as hard. Now it's your favorite color packer. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I had one instance where I had this crappy rotary from like, it was, this is, it was like, I don't know, Rotary Works, right? It was a cool rotary, whatever. And I had this rotary and I used it for like dot work, stipply shading. I turn it down, skip across the skin. Was
it that green one you tried to sell me?
No. I wonder what that was. I had dug that thing. This is years ago, right? But I would use it for like fine lines and like little dots. And then it kind of became more of like a shader. Like the dots started getting a little too soft. And then so I was kind of like, okay. And then it became like a really soft shader. And then it became... So
you threw a mag in it?
And yeah. And then it was like... And then it just didn't fucking work. It was just the fucking motor wearing down. Was like, yeah, right? So it's like your sports car is now a cruiser. Yeah. I cruise in this thing now. I used to race in it.
Yeah. It's retired.
Right. So I think like... I mean, yeah, I think it's important to like... There's this... I believe it's an Instagram, but there's definitely a term of like in skateboarding, like fuck with your trucks. Like you buy your trucks, maybe you use these bushings, and maybe you take the kingpin and you do this, and like everyone has their little way of skating. I think tattooing's like that too. I think it's important to play with your tools, take them apart, fuck with them. You know what I mean? Like get to know your equipment.
I have a funny story about that, and I was kind of alluding to this. There is indeed a lot of superstition.
Yeah.
A lot of people, you ask them like, why do you think that? Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, so and so told me, and it's like, okay, that doesn't make it true. Mm-hmm. It's just one guy said a sentence. Yeah. So you got to try it out for yourself. And so a lot of the time when you dig deep, it like doesn't even make sense. This one time, again, self-taught tattooer, take everything I say with a grain of salt. Mm-hmm. But I've taken apart machines. From the beginning of my career, I pretty much built my first tattoo machines.
Right.
I lied to Workhorse Irons and said that there was this imaginary tattoo shop in Brooklyn.
Right.
And they sold me the do-it-yourself kits. That's all cool. I had money for.
Yeah.
And they're like, why are you want it shipped to your house? I was like, oh, I don't trust my coworkers. They'll probably steal it. They bought it. They bought the story. And they anyway, I ended up getting kits. I built my own tattoo machines, and they sucked. And I still have them today. But they sucked. And so I've been experimenting for a long time. So I made a tension gauge, and I would be like, say I bought a quality machine. I'd be like, how much tension is on this Bulldog? How wide is the spring gap in the back? All these kinds of things. And then do I like to tattoo with it like that? I've commissioned people to build me machines, and then I don't dig the way they run. And they're like, well, you ordered the wrong frame style. That geometry doesn't suit the way you tattoo. I tattoo really fast.
Yeah. I
like fast running machines. But one time I had a buddy. He used to be a client, and then you've probably experienced this. Eventually they start
become
tattooing.
tattooers.
Yeah. They're getting heavily tattooed. They know what's up, because they're getting tattooed by Wayne. Anyway, he trusts me, this fella that I know. He's becoming a tattooer. He's working in some ghetto shop where they don't know anything. They're only doing portraits. They got the freaking t-shirt that says tattooed and employed, that kind of crap, dude.
Yeah.
Just vaping all day, dude, chasing that fog.
Dude, gotta get it.
Just ghetto shop. There was no windows in it. I remember that. This was in Orange County somewhere. A shop with no windows, and it was like a concrete building.
Yeah.
Anyway, I went down there and I said, dude, because he had a bunch of junk machines. And I said, well, I can tune these things so they run sick.
Right, yeah.
Just because I'm not a machine builder, but I know roughly how to do that. A lot of it's just alignment and, a smooth machine. Then you can determine if you like it or not. But until it runs smooth.
And some machines might be, I think it comes down to when we're talking about I guess quality versus superstition. It's it could be a thing where maybe it is an incredible machine for that person and they're used to that style of running machine, but it might be the worst machine for me. So it's important to buy different stuff, try different stuff, and to fuck with your trucks.
Dude, so to finish the story up, I know I'm always long-winded, but so I go down to Orange County. My buddy's a brand new tattooer. He got out of his apprenticeship or whatever. And he's like, man, I feel like my machines suck and whatever. And he didn't have the money, didn't want to spend the money, whatever.
Right.
And so I went down there and I was like, yo, I'll bring my, my spring punches, whatever, my files.
We'll play with it.
We'll dial this stuff in and we'll get this one. So, we're looking at this and I'm like, oh, you're running this thing as a liner. It's designed to be a shader, you can look at the geometry, whatever. So anyway, I messed with a bunch of machines just to do him a favor. I didn't obviously charge him or anything. He's an old buddy. Got some of my first professional tattoos when I moved to SoCal.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I started tattooing in Whittier actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, finish up this.
Yes. But so at the end of the day, I've spent hours with this guy. I don't think I tattooed him or anything. I think I just went down there to do him a favor and just chill with my buddy. And they're running sick. These machines are running pretty good. And the owner of the shop, who was working with, I don't know what it was, probably an inkjector, some silent machine, it just reeks of weed in there, just like ghetto, dude.
Right.
Like not even trying to keep it clean or anything, just a ghetto shop. The owner of the shop comes over and is like, "What are you guys working on? Who are you?" Blah, blah, blah. And I said, "Oh, I was helping him tune up some machines or whatever." And so he's like, "Let me feel," or whatever. They were coils.
Yeah.
Let me feel. So, whenever somebody like feels machines, you could tell like they've never done it before. They like touch it with like their ring finger or some crap, and you're like, how can you feel how hard it's hitting like that? Anyway, he was like that. He had no idea what he was looking at.
He like runs on the tip of his nose, like.
Are the coils hot? We'll throw them in the mini fridge real quick. Yeah. People do all kinds of crap, because like what they heard or what their mentor said. Anyway, so he's got like a critical power supply, something with a readout.
Yeah.
And I tune this thing up and I don't know, liner or shader, whatever. Fire it up, and I'm like, yeah, dude, this thing's running pretty sick now. Mm-hmm. And so I just keep turning it up, feeling it, turning it up. I'm not looking at the readout, and I'm like, oh yeah, this thing's running sick now. I think probably put a tube, loaded it up,
right,
see what the actual range was. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I don't even know if he felt the machine, this one that I'm talking about. But he literally looked at it and he's like, "Oh, you should never run a machine over 8 volts."
What? Just because
I said, "Says who?"
Yeah, what?
This is the owner of a freaking tattoo shop.
Well, my plastic injector says on the pamphlet, that you can only run it at.
I was like, who told you that?
Right.
The old Spalding power supplies go up to 14
yeah.
volts.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like, how big are the coils? How many wraps? How big's the magnet wire? How big are the iron cores? Does it have 1 coil or does it have 2? How slow does it run? How big?
Dude,
is the
some of our
spring gap
favorite
to get
tattooers are just plugging the shit into the wall back in the day.
Dude, yeah. Like, I run my crap at like, remember that machine I bought off of you?
Which one was it?
Safari Cuban.
Oh, the Ghost, the whatever. Yeah,
Ghost
yeah.
Auger Violet's my favorite machine. I use it for every freaking tattoo.
I love that.
Well, that thing has one mondo ass coil on it. Mm-hmm. I don't know what my power supply doesn't have readouts, but I mean it's gotta be 10 volts. I'm tattooing with that thing, and this dude is going along. He's probably still tattooing, maybe still owning the shop, and he's probably still thinking that. Never run a machine over
I don't
8
think
volts.
so, because a lot of those new wand machines, because you don't have a needle bar attached to the spinny dealio, it's just a needle bar that's permanently attached, banging against a cartridge. You have to turn your shit higher, right? So a lot of those like wand machines, they're going 8, 9, 10 volts. Like it's like, because the machine's working twice as hard to do the job because it's a disconnected, broken piston essentially. Like it's not. They're working hard, not smart, but it looks cool because it's like it's got a sexy name and it fucking has a battery. I don't know.
Real question. My personal opinion is I feel like it's so hard.
Do you like I said sexy name?
You said they look cool, and I have the hardest time.
No one has a tattoo of like a fucking pen machine on them.
Well, now that you said it, you've spoken it into existence.
Can you imagine that? Like just a fucking on your side of your
on
face?
their face, and people like,
what's that?
They don't know what it represents.
Right. Yeah, no, like, if they do, I've seen people get like a cartridge tattooed. You know what I mean? Like, okay, it's a tube tip with the needle. I get that. You know what I mean? But there's no way. Like, it's just becoming like, I think they're looking at it more or less like an iPhone. They're looking like at brand recognition, and their favorite artist uses that, and it's press and play, start and go, less to know. Here you go. Have your wand. Have a go. Good advertisement.
Another haiku. Yeah, another haiku. Yeah. You're a genius.
I'm on it, dude.
It's funny because I see this thing, this phenomenon on Tattoo Gear for Sale, the Instagram page.
Yeah.
When I get on Instagram to like sell something, or I'll re-download Instagram to check that it actually posted at some point, and I'll be like, all right, is that why? Am I getting no bites on this machine because he didn't post it yet, or whatever?
Right. Yeah.
So I'll download Instagram on my phone again, and I'll look it up. And what I see a lot of, and I don't know if you've noticed this, people will be selling like 8 piece of crap coil machines.
Mm.
And then like, and they're usually really weird ones. They'll be like Cleveland's or like reversed special techniques or like all kinds of weird stuff. The Clark machines, the magnetic, all kinds of weird stuff. And then it's just straight to pen. Like they never, what I see, and I could totally be wrong because they're obviously not selling it. So maybe they're keeping it in their collection. But what I never see is, okay, I started off with like arguably lower quality coil machines, and then I tried buying like better ones. You know, I bought some Scott Sylvia's or Jefferson's or something that's really nice, a Safari machine. And then I decided, you know what, coils aren't for me. I'm going to go to this pen.
They're only buying gimmicks.
They use like crappy coils, and they're like, well, maybe if the contact is backwards, it'll make a tattoo better, like something like that.
Right.
You know, all kinds of stuff. And they never like just buy a sick like Coleman shader like from Scott Sylvia or like one of like a wiener dog, you know. Yeah. They'll get like the low quality, you know, they won't commission them.
I think what it comes down to, it's like, it's just tattooing made easy. What's the easy thing? And the reality situation is tattooing is not easy. And the tools, like, obviously they help you do your job. A good machine, you just guide it. But everyone's just looking for the easiest way in, the quickest shortcut. And it's like, if this is an art form that's going to last a lifetime, I feel like you owe it to your client to dedicate your life to that time to make that tattoo. And it's like, I think it's kind of disrespectful to just look to buy bullshit and make it easy. Like, if you value these things so highly, but you don't value, like, I'm having a hard time articulating this. I have so many different like points in my head I want to get out at once. But
it's true in a lot of different
facets. And it's like one thing I'll say about this is like, okay, I'm gonna bring up a theoretical style. Let's say you do some, I don't know, illustrate
all the way.
Yeah, like I mean, maybe something like more like, I don't know, a fucking watercolor realism illustrative Bob Ross character, right? So you're gonna use I don't know, you're not efficient and you need a bunch of different brush sizes for some reason, so you're gonna have a bunch of different needle sizes. So if you're gonna have a one-time do-it-all machine, you want to be able to click in all these cartridges to do your thing, right?
Yep.
The issue I have with that is like, no one machine is a do-it-all best just for that machine. And any craftsman will understand this, you know? Like, you know, no woodworker has one tool, you know what I mean? No mechanic has one tool, you know? One multi-tool. You do think you go to get your oil changed and they break out like, you know, a fucking Swiss Army knife? Like, there's no fucking way, right? So I think if I'm the best, right? I'm not, but if I'm the best at that thing, I want the best fucking shader, the best fucking liner, the best packer. This, ooh, bro, I only use this for fine lines. Ooh, get this. This is for my big, silly, giant mags I never use, right? And so when you're about to do this big tattoo, you have your tools laid out, right? Like, you take this job seriously. Your client's commissioned your time. They take you seriously. And, you know, oh, wow, like, look at, he has all of his tools. He must care, blah, blah, blah. But if your argument to him is like, oh, check it out, I got this thing off Amazon, does everything, makes no noise, don't even plug it in, and I have all these little bullshit things, and like, I'm just about to bullshit my way and make this easy. Of course motherfuckers want in on this because they see, oh, look, it's easy. And it's just this quest for tattooing made easy. And it's like, tattooing is not fucking easy. And when you're good at tattooing or any craft, yes, you can get by with anything. Like Michael Jordan can dunk barefoot. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like Eric Costin can kickflip in fucking heels. I don't know. It doesn't matter when you're good at doing your job, but good equipment definitely helps. And when you're familiar with your equipment, it makes your job more comfortable. And when you're more in tune with your equipment, there's less between you and doing that job. You know, when I pick up my machines and I know how they're going to run, all I have to do is just do the job. I'm not fiddling with my equipment. And I think people are trying to search that and find that in funky places with gimmicks and bullshit and low price points. But the thing they're missing is the work. And even the way you started, like, you bought these machines and you had to fiddle with them. You had to put in the work. And I think that's kind of going away. And there's less there's just less knowledge in tattooing. It's just a lot of tattooers that don't know how to tattoo that are good at making tattoos. And people watch this won't understand what I said at all, but they might be able to apply a good tattoo, but they can't tell you how they did it. You know, like
that's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, tell me how you know that.
Right.
Tell me how you know that. Like, I thought it was a really interesting point someone made. I can't remember who. I just heard this the other day. It was Honest Tattoo Podcast. John Mesa, or one of those dudes. They said, if you're like a few years into tattooing and you put a back piece on, you don't even know how your tattoos age.
Yeah.
Yet you don't even have a 10-year-old tattoo on you.
Right. Yes.
How could you understand the way tattoos age? And correct me if I'm wrong, but I would argue that's one of the biggest banes of tattooing right now.
Yeah.
People don't know. I make this distinction all the time in my shop, and feel free to use this. I say, hey, that's a great design. It's not a tattoo. A tattoo is something that's designed to be with you until you die. It's always going to read well, blah, blah, blah. Let's make a tattoo.
Yes.
It can be all sorts of different styles, but a tattoo is different than a design.
Yeah, we're in this time where like anything can be tattooed, but not everything should be tattooed. And people coming into this just don't get that. The clients are now the tattooers, and the tattooers don't have the distinction on how to apply this stuff. They're just running it and experimenting.
They're
and how
running
can
it.
Yeah, and how can you be like an experienced professional with no experience? Like, you know what I mean?
I listened to your podcast with my friend Ben. He is one of the best tattooers in the world. He did my entire back in 3 sessions.
Yeah.
It only took like nothing. It was like 12 hours or something.
Right.
Total. Ben's amazing. And you guys, I remember you guys talked about all black tattoos. That was the thing when I first started tattooing with traditional. And I think it's a huge influence from California personally. I don't know if that's where it comes from, but black and gray traditional, that was like never a thing.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it was a thing. Around like, I don't know, 2012, maybe around there, people started doing like Mike Adams probably with his, all black, right?
Yeah, and people often are always like, whoa, no color. Like, I don't do color. And I'm like, okay, you're cool.
Yeah, but there was this way that tattooers...
1/3 less for me. A little more open space. The thing's going to really breathe.
You know...
it's going to heal quick.
You know Johnny 2/3 out...
no, I like that name. That's my kind of guy.
He's out in Long Beach somewhere, I think. Friend of a friend. And apparently he got his name because he's like 2/3 of the tattoo's black.
Oh, I like that.
How sick is that, dude?
That is
I don't
good.
know. Johnny, I don't know you, but I like you already.
Yeah, me too.
But it's silly because we were doing the all black traditional, and that was a way to bypass, hey, I don't know. I don't have to learn how to use gray wash, which is really hard. I find it difficult.
Yeah.
I'd rather pack in powder pigment all day than have to do a 2-drop gray wash.
To just to pack a field of consistent gray, like, looks easy. It's not.
Yeah. You have to do a wind bar 2 inches wide with 2-drop gray. Good luck. But anyway, it's funny. There's this phenomenon where, like, that's what single needle tattooing is, right? It's just black whipped out. It's watery, it's chalky, but whatever. It's just black whipped out. Being in SoCal, we know exactly how those tattoos look.
Right.
It doesn't even take 10 years. It's like 3 years, dude.
Right.
You can spot a freaking jailhouse tat from a mile away.
Yep.
And it's different from a scratcher tat.
Yeah.
It's different. You can see a scratcher, a jailhouse tat, it's different.
And
the
so OG dot work. Pepper shading. The OG dot work. Yeah.
No, it was like literally like they sprinkled black pepper.
Yeah, exactly.
Pepper shading. But it's funny because like the experience shows us in SoCal, especially a place where people get beat up in the sun so bad, their tattoos, we know how they heal. And it's funny, I've worked with folks in like the last few years that are like, I only get out black to tattoo. And what I do is I just rake dots. And it's like, that's not how it works. It's still black, and black still spreads. It's differently distributed in the gray wash.
Yeah.
And so what you get,
it's dispersed now, but it will spread. Yeah.
Yeah. I have an old tattoo that was done by one of the pioneers of that style of like all black. And it's like, it looks awful.
Yeah.
I covered it up. So it's weird that a new person coming into tattooing thinking, oh, they ain't ready for me.
Right.
Nobody thought to do it this way. It's like, actually we did. Like, you look back at, like, I know you're very well versed in like the old circus suits, you know,
right.
like the Wagner suits and the Cap Coleman's bodysuit was beautiful. It was very fine line.
Oh yeah.
It was so tricked out. I mean, they were taking all the artwork from the dollar bill and like it was ornate. There was like the Lady Liberty with the hat on.
Yeah, we just saw all these old, healed, blown out tattoos and started making our new tattoos look like that immediately, not considering how they will look when they are old and blown out, like what we referenced then.
Indeed. And like, it's funny. I remember hearing Rick Walters say that, I believe you tattooed with 3s and 4s and you bust out the 5 for a back piece.
Woo! Coming hot.
They were running that crap hot, dude. No cap.
Yeah, it's true though. Like,
dude,
yeah. So
the
5 that he's breaking out probably was looking like a fucking 9 or something. Yeah, depends how you do it. I mean, I don't know. It depends. That's interesting. Also depends on the needle itself too. Like, is it 0.35? Is it kind of a bigger needle? Is it more of a bug pin, like a 0.28 millimeter? Like what needle? I don't know. That's a conversation that can go on. It will go on the rest of our careers.
Oh, the debate about line weights?
Yes.
Oh yeah. I've gone back to 9s.
Yeah. Same.
But it's a certain 9.
Yeah.
It's not, I can't have it fanned out too much
right.
because those really loose groupings, man, they are fun to tattoo with, and you think you just made the best tattoo of your life. This is the most saturated lines.
Right.
And then you regret it a few years later. Yeah. Like, it's like, wow, how do lines spread that much even though I didn't blow it out?
Well, there's always like an appropriate size line weight for every design. And you could change your line weight for every single design, or I like to stick with a line weight design on the back of that line weight. So if I use this line weight no matter what, then my work always looks the same. But ironic, I have different styles by different scales of tattoos, because if you get a larger tattoo for me, it's like, oh wow, like you put so much detail in that back or that front. You don't do that on someone's forearm. It's like, well, I use the same size line. So it's gonna get way more dumbed down on your forearm, and it's getting even more dumbed down on your wrist. So I let my tools dictate the outcome of the job. So it's less between me and doing the job. But I do find there is like a balance between what's going to look best today versus what's going to look best tomorrow. And right now where tattooing is, it's always favored today. And I'm trying to meet it in the middle. The client wants today. They want the white highlights. They want all the bells and whistles. They want it smaller. They want more in it. And I'm trying to like peel it back and dumb it down as much as possible. So it's like you almost got to, if there's like what's best for tomorrow is going to be like Leo Zualeta tattoos, right? And what's best for like today might be like, I don't know, fucking half girl face, half demon face with glittery sparkles, like whatever's hot, right? Yeah. It's like, well, how can I find myself like right down there in the middle? And what's the worst case scenario? And how can I make this be the best, worst looking tattoo over time? You know, that's where I'm at.
No, I totally hear that. I was getting so frustrated with tattooing where I live, the style is a little more tricked out. People want
it's pretty fancy down there. Everyone has like kind of I feel like everyone's kind of special. It's not so uniform.
No, it's not. In fact, like when I moved to Nashville, there were almost zero what I would consider household names of tattooers that I knew of. Yeah. I didn't know a single person. I had friends there. But there weren't like famous people to us, right?
Yeah.
famous people that move there, but the style is so tricked out. People love this Victorian crap.
Right.
You know, it's just like patterns on patterns on patterns. Everything has dots over it.
Yeah.
And I was starting to do my, like, I'm talking large scale traditional tattoos, thigh pieces. I'd have to line them out with a 5. It was so frustrating.
Yeah. When you put enough stuff in a design, a 5 will look bold. Like I did a whole front, and people are like, oh man, I did it with a 5 round, but it looked bold because how busy the design was, you know?
Sure. Yeah, sure. But going back to your point, I think there's somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
It's like, if I can't tattoo this thing with a 7, maybe it's not tattooable.
I like that. That's
like,
good.
I'm going to take out as much crap as possible. So, for a long time, I only drew on paper, and I was really against the iPad, and eventually I saw the utility.
Once you learned how to draw on the iPad, you weren't so against it.
Yeah. Well, I once I moved away from here, I kind of like wiped the dust off my feet, and I was like, I'm open to something that's better.
Well, and the shop that you worked at wasn't conducive to like using that. It was very like against rotary or iPad. It was like, no, we do it this way. Like you would be kind of shamed if you were to break out the iPad in front of the light box.
Yeah, but I respect that. There's a time and place for that.
Absolutely.
There are certain tattoos that I choose to draw on paper because I really want to savor the moment.
Right.
And I'm going to bust out my sickest coil that, I have to take my time more, but I know that thing's just buttery, I dig all of that stuff, but I saw the utility in the iPad eventually. And so now what my drawing process is, I'm very, what would you say, left-brained, very logical, like the way, yes, I make art for a living, and I've always been an artist since I was a kid, but I map everything out. Very, I don't see it. Have you ever met somebody like that? Like Jacob Donnie, my old mentor, man. Oh my gosh, that dude can freaking draw anything. And it takes him moments.
Right.
I mean moments to draw the most perfect thing you've ever seen. He's intuitive. He sees what he's drawing before it's on the paper. I am not like that.
Really?
I have to map everything out. I use, now that I know more about Procreate, I use a lot of warp, distort.
No way.
I'll draw a claw, and then I'll like cut the finger
to try to see how it would look.
Flex back or something like that.
Okay.
I'll try 5 different expressions of eyeball. I try everything. So now I feel like I can get the best line drawing.
Okay, yeah.
That way, because I experiment heavily. But I was so frustrated because my drawing time was on average like 4 to 5 hours a night.
Damn, that's a lot of homework.
I did that for years, dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So what I started doing is instead of drawing, well, first of all, I took a step back.
Yeah.
I was feeling very lost in tattooing because, like, I feel like the crazy person a lot of time because I just want normal tats. Give me the Smith Street. Give me the Sailor Jerry Flash. It's my whole body.
Yeah.
My last, bunch of tattoos, they're literally just Jonesy Flash, or like I had Josh Bowbender tattoo both sides of my head a couple years ago. And I literally was like, what was it? Somebody's crawling panther and somebody's perched eagle.
Yeah.
And I literally I can't remember who the Flash was.
Well, I think it's like you start to, as you mature in tattooing, you don't need the bells and whistles to impress you. I find one thing that's kind of funny is that like I love like a lot of styles of tattooing. I understand. I love all of tattooing now. I can find good merit in most tattoos. Where for a while, much like the iPad, like, oh fuck the iPad, because I didn't know how to draw on a fucking iPad, right? And then it's like when I opened up the street shop and I had to start walked in the door again, it was like, damn, I respect that. That's hard to do, So now I can find something I like in all tattoo. And I find that for my tattoos, I don't want the special, unique, I just want the skull. I don't need to have the thing that no one else has because it's kind of a curse. Like, I don't want to tell you what my forehead says. I don't want to tell you why I have avocados on my hand. Like, maybe I just want a rose. Or maybe I want a spider web. Maybe I want a skull. Like, I just want, point. You know what I mean? Like, being special comes with a lot of baggage. And I don't really want
to be able to tell you, or have another tattoo artist know what year I got it.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I remember. I have a tattoo on my arm that's being lasered right now.
Yep.
There was a trend in New York City where instead of just having a normal banner, you'd get the thing written in the banner, and then you'd like put colored outlines on it. And,
like the red cross out thing.
So I have.
Yeah.
I got my grandmother's name tattooed on me, and I just wasn't even thinking about it. I put a red line through it, and she's deceased, so it's like
yeah, totally.
no more Ruth.
I remember that.
And it was like that was a trend, and it's like I looked down at that and I was like, what was I thinking?
Right. Yeah.
But I was following what was trending at the time.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say about the drawing process is just that I started going very broad the way I draw now. So what I do is I use like a very rough like pencil or even pastel. It's almost like I'm drawing my tattoo design with a crayon.
Right.
So it gets super rough, but I can feel it now. It's like it's more intuitive. I'm like, yep, that's where the eyes go.
But also you can't, if you go, whether you're drawing a smaller scale thumbnail or you're drawing with like a big lead pencil or you're drawing with a Sharpie, you can't fit the extra bullshit and it's not possible. So if you're drawing with the worst case scenario, if you're drawing with a marker the size of how your line will blow out in 10 years, and then you tattoo it the way you tattoo it today, then you have a good foresight on what you're giving someone for life.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of my rule. And when I step back, I was starting to allude to this, but moved to Nashville about 5 years ago, was working at a shop, wasn't owning a shop at the time. And I just felt lost because I would never get that Victorian crap tattooed on me. Respect if you like it, whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty.
But it's like, like I'd rather have gold in my tattoo than ochre. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, everyone likes colors that aren't bright. Like,
you know what Josh calls them?
What?
Josh Bovender calls them mustard tats. I love that, dude. I was like, mustard tats.
I feel
want
like
a mustard tat.
I mean, respect to Spider Murphy's for changing the game, but fuck, man, I don't know. It's been kind of a curse to me. Like,
dude,
I just
want a pre-faded tattoo.
I don't know, man. And like, there's tattooers I do like that have the fucking wild palette in Europe and yada yada, but I want my colors bright, my black. I'll let my colors fade when they fade. Like, I mean, dude, like, I remember the first time I packed gold up over black, and I wasn't on purpose. And now it's tight to have fucking avocado green, brown, funky yellow. I feel colorblind. I don't know what I'm even looking at right now.
Yeah.
Boom, another one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's a lot. Like, I don't get it. It's like, I just tell people, I'm like, hey, that's cool. It's not what I do. Like, if you want to, I want my color tattoos to be bright and bold and black. And if you want it bold and whatever, then I'll do it black. I'll do black and gray. Like, if you're after that look, I'll just give you black and gray, or I'll give you color. I'm not going to make my color look like muted. I put black in my color. It's just not my thing. It's not what I'm selling today, you know? But it's a thing.
My compromise is I did do the mustard tats for a while because that's what people wanted, and
I love that.
I'm the sole provider in my household.
Yep.
However, now what I do is the red is always gnarly, like it's always persimmon or something like really bright.
Right.
Gold is always gold. None of that crap. But then they can get like an avocado.
Oh, like an olive green or something. Yeah, okay.
Or a dusty blue instead of a sky blue.
Okay, that's fair.
That's it. And I still do my traditional color palette. And you know what? I like the way that looks. Like,
that's fair.
I want to paint my house out those colors, you know?
And it make your tattoo still bright, and it still has contrast in a different way. That's a smart way to do it. Instead of having everything dull or everything neon, that's smart. I like that.
Yeah, and when you get into like design, one of the best things I ever did for my career was I took one of Steph Bastian's like watercolor and design seminars.
Oh shit,
dude!
Changed the game.
Changed the freaking game. All of a sudden, I saw everything. Like, I learned this fact. Maybe you know this. You got the Krylon logo tattooed on you or whatever.
Good eye.
So there's the primary colors. Blue, red, yellow. So how do we get our complementary colors, and why are they complementary? Why do we dig red with green? Because red and green is red, and then blue plus yellow.
Yeah.
Why do we like yellow and purple? Because it's yellow and red plus blue. The eye likes completion. And that just like blew my mind. And now I see it everywhere. So now, like when I think about phthalo green, it's like it's a bluish red or a bluish green. So when you have a tattoo, like a traditional rose, right? Like you have a sick rose. I don't know who did that on your inner bicep.
Steve Bolts.
There you go.
Yeah.
You got a nice phthalo green, red, and gold, usually.
Yeah.
Well, it is green and red, which are complementary, but you also, it's a blue green. So now your eye sees, basically it dumbs it down to primary colors.
Yeah, people
just
always,
like a television.
People always trip out. Like, I'll now say what green I use. Everyone wants to know. National Coverall Green. Go find it. And people get confused.
Go find it. They're out of business.
And I fucking bought all of it. I'm good. When I run out of green, I'm not tattooing green no more. But yeah, I can use that green as if it's blue, and I can use it as if it's green, and I just get creative with it. If I put it, I've done, like, for example, this one design where it was a clipper ship and I had water and then I had a rose with leaves. And so my water, I left a lot of open space. I whipped the green out and then it looks cold. It makes the skin look more white, and then in the leaves, I did a lot of black to green, and that looks more like a grass green next to the red and whatnot. So it looks like green and blue, but fuck you, it's not. It's just the same green. And people get confused and they're like, is that green? Is that blue? What is that? They can't quite catch it, but it's how you use the color on what you can make with it. And I really like those limitations, you know what I mean? Because if I had every size needle and had every color, my tattoos would be fucking horrendous and I wouldn't know when to stop working. So I need to know, like, well, there's no more red to put in that thing. Add a red onto the, it's like, and I always look at what's the next color, like what's going to be the most contrast to the next thing. And it just, the tattoo, when I'm going through the tattoo, it solves itself for me. It makes it easy for me.
Yes.
When I start switching up my colors, like I feel switched up and just as confused as the client. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna shade it. But when someone asks, it'll be a red rose. What color leaves? They're gonna be green. What's the stem? It'll be yellow. I don't know. Like we're gonna figure it out together. And but I will say this: when I do break out like a blue or a purple, or I did 2 peonies on some knees, oversized with like a 10 hollow. So it was like fat fucking lines on knees, oversized, very like modern approach. And I use this like weird dark green and I use this pink and I blend it out to a white. That shit was so fun because it's not what I do. It's not what I do. And it was like, oh my God, look at this green next to this pink. Like, wow, and so it is really fun to step out of what you do, and but I really find comfort in just doing what I do,
Yeah, I mean, I sometimes, my favorite tattoos these days are ones that I'm not even charging money for.
Yeah.
When I trade for somebody, or it's my freaking brother-in-law's in town and
right.
wants to get it for his, new baby,
yeah,
whatever. I love doing that stuff.
Yeah, because you're learning your challenge. Like, I'm gonna make this the best fucking infinity symbol I've ever done today. Fuck it, like whatever.
And I feel actually like really lucky.
Yep.
Like I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like what I thought about. When I was like, maybe if I tattoo, I'll feel really free. And we were talking about this a little earlier, but like, yeah, everybody wants freedom, and I feel very free. And one of my favorite parts about tattooing, I love coil machines. My favorite part of tattooing, but laying down some freaking bright color, I feel like Jackson Pollock, just dumping the paint on. I love dipping.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to put out 2 ink caps of green. Am I going to use it? No, but I'm going to dip heavy, dude. And I'm going to, pound that freaking green in there.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun to do that. That's like one of the pure things about tattooing that I'm holding on to. Once we lose the craft of tattooing, when it's all pens, I'm out.
Dude, it's already there. Like me starting my needle company when I did, like the amount of like.
You should have started a cartridge company, is what you're trying to say.
I mean, one day if I could figure it out, but like I'll tell you this: when I started Unite Wind Supply, like I spent like a year like and I went through 27 different manufacturers, and I met everyone and talked to everyone, got samples from everyone, and I was like, okay, I want this, but pull the solder back like this. I want my metal annealed like that, and I went through it all, and upon all of this, I know who makes what and where it's made and all that, and I went through all these different cartridge samples, and it's such a complex disposable device to mass produce, to have consistency built into. And I mean, I could break out, like, I don't want to name names, but I could break out, the coolest packaging cartridges and break out 3 of them and push them down with my finger, and the tension is not the same. And those machines aren't meant to even really have tension on the motor like that anyways. And so it's just this built-in planned obsolescence where you're going to wear down that motor and have to buy a new pen. And, the cartridges, like, it's just like, some of them have a lot of tension. Like, they're really pushing on that motor. And again, that goes back to what we were saying of them turning those pens up higher than what people were running rotaries before. They're making these things work harder that aren't designed to work hard, And it's just a weird solution. It's like it's a solution for something that wasn't broken. It's a fix for something that didn't need to be fixed.
You said it.
And it's just very odd. And I feel like for me, I do use what I sell.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I haven't sold cartridges is because I haven't found cartridges that I would use consistently,
If you can't honestly say, if I set up this, even a machine that's designed for cartridges.
Yeah.
I set up this machine with a cartridge. It runs exactly the same and as powerful as this other machine with a loose needle. It's not true.
Yeah.
Now I see people that I really respect.
Mm-hmm.
They can really lay down a tat. And I'm sure
it doesn't matter what they use.
It doesn't matter what they use. They're using a pen out of convenience, and I get it.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I were at that point in life where that superseded the craft for me, like if tattooing was just about making money for me, then yeah, I could understand why you would go that route. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing. They're looking for ways, but as you said earlier, it's a lie. Yeah. You're never going to make this job easy. Never, ever, ever. So if you can't enjoy it while you're in the moment, while you're tattooing, if you can't feel like, man, I really killed it today, or I'm killing it with this tattoo currently that I'm doing, you're just holding this thing that it's basically a symbol of destruction of everything you love. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just imagining a kid right now. You talk about the magic of tattooing, going into a shop and being like, oh, when they had the freaking TV on and they were watching Game of Thrones and there were no machine noise and and
your artist wearing headphones.
Like that's when I knew I wanted to be a tattoo artist. Like, nobody's gonna say that.
Right.
That's ridiculous. It's all like a hooray for me kind of career now.
Right.
I don't even call it a career.
We went from a Destiny's Child to Beyonce.
I don't know what that metaphor means.
It was a team sport, and now it's like a solo alone.
Yeah. It's all like me.
I thought that one landed.
A couple of
Justin, instinct to Justin Timberlake.
Okay, that one I got.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so self-centered right now.
Yeah, and I feel like
everyone's an island.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I think that's definitely a repercussion of like social media is what, and it's a better thing than it is a bad thing. And people, I think, can find what they're looking for now with more ease. And it's just weird when like that pressure's still put on me. And what I mean by that is like, if you want to find a mean tattooer or a happy tattooer, a depressed tattooer, or a hot tattooer, ugly tattooer, a funny tattooer, a social media tattooer, a social media less tattooer, you could find it. Like whatever you're looking for, you can find. If you're bringing in a photo of someone else's work, you already found it. Like, why even coming to me? Well, I don't really want to go to them, want it bootlegged. Cool. Okay. There's a person that just does bootlegs exclusively, right? You can find bootleg bad boy from Buffalo, your alter ego. They're out there, dude. You know what I'm saying? What you're looking for, you can find. Yeah. It's weird that like in this age of information, there's still like a pressure for me to do it all. Like it's like Matt Headley had a quote where he said like, you don't get mad at the taco shop for not selling you pizza. Like you walked into a taco shop, you know? So I think that in this age of like, of all these genres to our craft, like with respect to these genres in this craft, why can't that person that prefers headphones and silent employment go to that shop? Why can't that person who only wants whatever go to the whatever shop? Like, I feel like there's still a pressure upon me to like, to somehow like be ink master.
To cater.
Yeah. It's like everyone wants to be unique, and everyone is. And then I think with social media, people can exploit themselves to where people can find that, and then they could really like find their people, and the people could find them. But no matter how big it gets, no matter how specific it gets, there still is this like conversation of like, hey, have you heard about anesthesia? What do you think about anesthesia tattoo appointments? Or there's like, you know, hey, what do you think about you know, this type? It's like, I don't get it. It's like, I can't be everything at once.
Yeah, it's a lot of clout focused. The younger generation, that's the only metric of success that they have.
Yeah.
They cannot fathom that I personally don't use Instagram anymore. I just got so sick and tired of it. And I see, you know, you say career-wise, I would agree with you. Like, yep, you can totally market yourself on there. I found for myself, I'm 95% word of mouth, and that keeps me really busy.
Dude, that's recession proof. That's like, that's the best. Like recently, like, you know, I have followers online, but they're only following online. You know, they're saying, oh, I love your work. When's the next time you're coming to Wichita? And it's like, they're not saying, hey, I love your work, I'm coming in from Wichita, which like, I do have someone coming from Wichita next week. I appreciate you. But for the most part, it's mostly tattooers following me who aren't getting tattooed by me. It's people following me who like my stuff. They're bringing my stuff to their tattooer to bootleg it, to look like me. But it's not real. But when I meet someone that walks in the door and then I do whatever their thing is, they're coming in next week and the week after and the week after. That's the bread and butter. Like the real people from your town, that's what really matters. That's who's going to really support you when you need them most. Being the tattooer that for a long time I was a traveler, and then I've now, the majority of people I tattoo are people traveling through. They're making a pit stop in California to get an appointment with me, and that's cool. And I don't want to badmouth it. I feel ungrateful and whack to even say this, but I'm tattooing them once.
Yes.
And the thing is with tattooing, it's like, you know, it's not like hair where my wife can have 30 people.
Hair grows back.
And they rebook.
And you got to come back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I may tattoo you. I need your friend and your friend's friend to stay in business. If I just have a clientele, I'm going out of business, because there's going to come to a point where you're done getting tattooed, you know? And so I constantly need the next person. So chasing this thing I can't grab, like social media, it's a struggle. But when you,
well, going back to the clout thing, I would say that somebody probably, you know, it's the entire concept behind tattooers using Instagram.
if you made it this far, I appreciate you. This is just a quick ad break. Not selling shit but tattoos here today. I have a new shop in Norco, California called Norco Tattoo, located at 1805 Commerce Street, Suite A, Norco, California 92860. Norco is short for North Corona, which Corona, Riverside, Norco, they're all kind of sandwiched together, cities within the Inland Empire within Southern California, where I reside. And Norco is just, you know, down the street. And it's always kind of been there. It's said to be a city living in a rural atmosphere. They call it Horsetown, USA. A lot of horse property, a lot of cowboys, and not a lot of tattoo shops. And I got the opportunity to open up down there. It's only a 10-minute drive from Unite and Win already. So it's kind of easy for me to pop in both shops, work at both shops. And man, the place is great. It's a totally different vibe. It's more like I don't know, it's a big spot. And I kind of, Unite and Win is more mid-century, kind of maybe post-war. Maybe I would say, you know, late. I'd put Unite and Win like 50s and 60s. There's stuff from, I have speakers from the 1940s and lamps from the 50s and stations from the mid 50s. And most of the tattoo flash would be kind of dated prior to before the 1970s. So I feel like Unite and Win Tattoo looks like a tattoo shop that you walked into that's been around since like the 40s, and now it's like 1965. And unless you see a cell phone or iPad laying around, you could take a photo, and it's a time warp. Norco is a little more modern. It's kind of a big warehouse building. I did like modern concrete polished floors, but I did some rustic decor, some cowboy-esque things, some like saloon doors, but I also put some plants. And I have more like 1970s stuff, like old steel case, like tanker desks. And it's cool. I got a lot of flash there. Not as much as Unite and Win. It's not as crushed. I'm going for a little bit more open, a little more space. Unite and Win's my crushed little clubhouse. This is a little more space for everyone. And I want to kind of represent the town that's in. I want you to go to Norco, walk in Norco Tattoo, and see some cowboy flash and be like, okay, this tattoo shop is accommodating the location that's within. And has a little something for everybody. And it's got a good crew that's welcoming to everybody. And it's an extension of what I'm already doing down the road at Unite and Win. And I'm really proud to have Unite and Win and Norco Tattoo. Much more to share with you. But I just want to kind of let you guys know what was going on. It just, I don't know, made this little selfish time to take to tell you about what I got going in the middle of this interview with Jordan. But this Saturday, if you're catching this right away, we're going to have a flash day. And there'll be designs $100 to $300. You know, we'll have some guest artists with us. It's going to be a good time. First come, first serve, walk in, leave happy. Spread the word, you know. And if you don't like me or what I do or the tattoos that I make, send your enemies my way. I really appreciate it. I'll take any attention. And so to not take too much attention away from this interview, let's get back into the Jordan Brill interview. And thank you for making it this far. Stick around. This has been a pleasure. I love this interview. It's a good one. It's a good one. Back to it. Yeah.
Somebody found you through the internet.
Right.
And now they're going to use that to, you know, initiate a transaction. They're going to get tattooed by you. They probably found you because it was entertaining.
Right.
And so then they found out about you. They, like you said, they might live out of state. I tattoo a lot of out-of-staters as well.
Yep.
And then they check it off the list.
Yep.
I got tattooed by Wayne Fredrickson. Done. Yep. I'm going to go back to Wichita and get the rest of my sleeve from freaking Billy Bob.
Right. Yep.
And my Wayne tattoo might be the best one, you know, on that arm.
Yeah.
But I paid less for this or whatever the reason for.
Right.
And there's just no longevity when you have to, and I've worked with dudes, you know, that they're very massive Instagram following, and they have their head in their hands and they're saying, why do I tattoo everybody only once?
And you're only competing with yourself, and it's like so much pressure and like, yeah, it's like, and you're not going to always be the cool, new, hot, young thing. Like, it's like, you're going to become just another. And
dude, we're almost 40.
Yeah.
Come on.
So it's like to be like, I just want to be like blatantly local. I just want to not do appointments. I just want people to know that I'm there. I have time. And them show up. That's the dream, you know, which is so ironic because like, I remember I was like, man, if I could be busy just tattooing my stuff, I would have made it. And then I made it. And then I'm like, and now I have so much fun just doing like the fine line script on Homegirl's neck. Like, you know, I like trying different shit. I want to get better at other styles. Like I want to learn, like, I don't want to just figure it out and be like, cool, figure it out. Like that's kind of boring. Like I want to do more shit. I get bored. Even when I find like, oh, this is the perfect like setup. Like even with painting, people ask me all the time, what paint do you use? Like I'll get good. I'll figure out like, ooh, this hits. And I'll buy a whole different thing. Oh, there's some Japanese weird watercolors that I bought.
Liquid acrylic last week.
Yeah.
Now I'm watercolor. Now I'm
like,
gouache.
I just want to see how something else works because it's just like, I just get easily distracted and get bored. You know, I want to be challenged. Like I need to be challenged. Like that's why I couldn't handle school. It's just like this fucking repetition and testing, and my brain just couldn't handle it. I need to be like spoken to directly. I need to be challenged directly. I need like tasks. I can't just like, I don't do well with that, you know? So I think figuring it out is like not what it's about. It's like, it's the chase, you know?
Yeah, the journey is definitely the destination, because, you know, my destination is retirement right now.
Right.
You know, I'm like, I need to get out of this business ASAP.
Yeah.
It's killing me,
Yeah.
you know, and it's killing everybody. You know, there are a couple people, I guarantee, you know, whoever is watching or listening to this, like they have like this list of tattooers and they're like, wow, I really, if I can do tattoos like them, then I'll be happy or whatever. Guess what? I've met a lot of those people. Their lives are falling apart. They don't sleep. They're usually sick. Lots of baby mama drama. You know, that's not the life that I want.
You want to get out when you're on top, like Ed Hardy. Get out when you loved it, not when you hate it. Well, maybe, I don't know. I can't speak for Ed, but I feel like I want to get out when I'm ahead, not when I'm on the decline, you know?
Yeah. And it takes foresight, and it's weird because we think of this as a very outlaw business. But to succeed, you can't do that.
Right.
Like, you can't spend all your money every week. Dude, save for your taxes.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah,
like,
that's a big one.
You know, like, shout out to Ryan Roy. I mean, I took his class, freaking sick. I used to get tattooed at a shop in New York City where he also worked. So we had some weird connection there. But, yeah, now it's like auto draft. Like,
Who is this? I don't know the name. Break it
Ryan
down.
Roy. He teaches a financial course for tattooers and
Oh,
entrepreneurs.
shit.
Best thing. I mean, the best, dude.
That's the one thing everyone says, like, oh, they didn't teach me how to do this in school, or they teach me that in my apprenticeship, or that's something I had to figure out.
He figured out something you would never figure out on your own.
Damn, shout out to Ryan who?
Ryan Roy, ROI. He's
I'll
the
look
king.
it up. Damn.
I think it's French for king, right?
Oh.
I'm from practically a little town called Leroy,
Ooh.
which is like the king.
Damn,
In
okay.
France, yeah.
Okay.
Hometown of Jello. So.
Oh, I know LaCroix.
But Ryan Roy, yeah, like stuff like that is like, dude, you have to be a freaking nerd.
Yeah.
You have to invest in your craft, you know?
Well, that's why it's such a short game for so many people. It's like, look at it as a young game. Like they're like, yo, I just don't know how to provide for myself. I need to get a job where I make less short term, but I have benefits long term and I have a way out. And, you know, I think if you're provided a lot amount of freedom, you'll abuse that freedom. Freedom isn't always like the best. You know what I mean?
And there are certain personality types, and I'm not picking on anybody, but if you're not a self-starter, if you're not a hustler, get out now. Like, it's all about hustling.
There's a tattooer, I can't remember his name, but I believe he owns, or at least works at Freaks and Geeks Tattoo in Portland, Oregon. He's been making like a little, just fun, like hard fact videos, just says some like wild shit that people were like, hey, you can't say that. And he said something where he's like, you know, everyone says that like tattooing isn't about money, like doesn't know what's up, like either making money or sitting waiting for money. And if you're sitting waiting for money, you're gonna go broke, you know. And it was like, I loved it. It was so straightforward, and obviously I misquoted it, but yeah, like you can't just sit around and wait and just expect people to think that you're special. Like tattooing is competitive, and it's like, if you don't know why someone should come to you, then how are they going to know to come to you? And so I think it's like, you never make it. Doesn't matter how long you've been at it, how good you're at it. It's just like, you have to constantly keep up and keep up and keep up and keep up. And that could like grind you down and get you over it and kill you and want to get over it. You know, most tattooers die in a way that we can't say without being demonetized, but it's a hard life, you know?
Yeah, it is a very hard life you are signing up for. And I tell everybody that is interested in tattooing, I'm like, be a graphic designer.
Yeah,
dude, way better.
And you have to like, that's what I'm saying, you have to really love tattooing that's worse to ever be able to benefit from its best. Like the worst day where no one walks in, like you have to be okay with sitting there drawing. You have to be okay with like tattooing the tweaker, and then that was a shitty day, but man, that's the best story you have for your career for the rest of your life. Like you have to love all of it. And I mean, it doesn't mean you have to do it forever. Like, you know, it's a weird thing because we worship the grind in tattooing where we're not allowed to do something else. We're not allowed to like ever leave, you know, like every other job has a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year plan. Like there's a projected, you know, I'm gonna make this much more profit next year. In tattooing, if you raise your price next year, people are fucking pissed. You know what I mean?
Other tattooers are pissed.
Yeah.
That's the real ironic thing.
Like
Everybody wants to keep each other down.
Yeah, you just gotta struggle together.
You know, I'll be the first to say it, and you can freaking write this on my tombstone, dude. I'm starting to hate tattooing.
Damn.
Like
that means that's how you know you've been in it.
Yeah. I mean, dude, like all these dudes think it's a flex. Like, I love tattooing more than you.
Right.
I'm like, okay, so you're gonna sacrifice your mental health,
right.
your personal health, your family, your relationships, your finances. You know, one of the best memes I've ever seen on the internet is it's a tattooer holding a tattoo machine or whatever, or tattooing somebody's arm, and it says, "My hands look like this, so my wife's hands can look like this." And it's a woman swiping a credit card, and it says declined. My hands look like this, so my wife's hands can look like that. And I'm like, yeah, that freaking says it. Like, you get no benefit out of this thing. I'm just like, it feels so silly, like now. But I always come back to, and this is why I can't do the pen. I can't. That is not worth it for me. The reason why I fell in love with this career, you're straight edge? Or former straight edge? Yeah.
No, so I'm out here drinking LaCroix. That's it, my boy.
If you aren't now, you never were.
There we go. Exactly. I'm a rare breed.
Yeah. I have been sober for like 15 years.
Yeah.
I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
I defy the odds of this business in a lot of ways. Whatever. And it just helps me to see things that I don't want to sacrifice. And when it comes to tattooing, what drew me was the craft. I saw a guy, you know, I'm getting tattooed with a coil machine.
Right.
It looks crazy. Like, why is there a rubber band on it? Why don't you just have a battery on it? Like, why does this thing make
you had that thought of like battery? There's no way you thought that.
Yeah. Like, why are those two coils batteries? I didn't know. Oh. You know, when
I've seen people wrap the coils with the Duracell. Have you seen that?
Yes.
That's pretty cool. It's
yeah,
pretty
9 volt.
Yeah,
Put a little rheostat on it.
Yeah. No. I'm saying I've seen people make machines, and when they wrap the coils, they wrap like a fake Duracell logo.
That's tight, dude.
So it looks like a little chubby double A.
The scratchers scratching. Yeah, but it was that mystery.
Yeah.
Of how does that work? And as we were talking about earlier, I don't know if we were recording yet, but it looks easy. When somebody's tattooing you and they really know what they're doing, you're like, I could do that. I've been drawing since I was 5 or whatever. And then you try and do it and you learn that's 0% true.
Yeah.
Maybe unless you use a pen, and then you don't know that your craft's going to fall out in 3 years.
You
don't know yet.
Right.
But the only thing I'm holding on to now is like the craft of coil machines, because everything has become sterile about it.
It's the last frontier of tattooing.
It's the last frontier of tattooing that I can hold on to. Is like, you know what it was is I have a little story.
How do you think tattooers felt when tattooing became electric? Turn of the century.
They probably said, "Thank God, dude."
I don't know. It might have been the
40.
It might have been the
slower.
It might have been the pen. It might have been like, "Yo, what the fuck." No, that's not tattooing.
Well, the first patented tattoo machines are rotary.
Yeah,
so that's
true.
Ironic that
Edison's pencil.
As someone I used to know said, the coil won the war.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, somehow coils became the standard. I agree with you.
Yeah.
And yes, you could make the same argument throughout history about the thermofacts, what's wrong with acetates and all this stuff. You're not man enough to use an acetate.
Right.
You could always make that argument, right? Like, you don't use flats. Like,
but all right, so that's the thing, right? That's the argument of like harder versus convenience. But the thing that we're arguing with coils is that it's not necessarily harder. It's just different. It's not a big barrier to entry. Like, it should just be, there's certain things that should just be like just an introductory like a must. You know, I don't know. A race car driver should know how to change a fucking tire before they like race that thing around the track or something.
But when I hear that, I just think of that's the way my mentor did it. So, you know, if I know somebody who started his apprenticeship with coil machines, like his mentor was tattooing with coil machines. And then like halfway through his apprenticeship, he switched to pens and carts. So, and then he was like, was drawing on an iPad, and he's like, what the heck? I don't know about any of this stuff.
I did an interview with my friend Tino, and he's one of the guys that kind of like helped me. You know, I apprenticed to the shop, and him and Geronimo and Marcos like kind of all taught me, right? And now Tino uses rotary. And I did an interview with him a few years ago, and I was like, yo, like, what is up with this? And it was before the pen. It was like, it was a different Bishop project, but it was still like obscure to me. And I was like, what's up with that? Like, how do you feel about that? He's like, bro, he's like, to me, it feels like what's supposed to feel like. And he's like, when I learned how to tattoo in prison, like I was using rotary. When I came out of prison, I had to learn this coil shit. I didn't know what the fuck this was. And I used like, like I used like Bloodhound, Jeff, I think, made machines, and also, what was there? Big Dringenberg. Like there's a few Mickey Sharps, like pre 2007. Like those are the big three. Like, you know, those are the ones to get, and that's what he used. And he's all like, no, using like a direct drive style rotary to me feels classic. It feels like what I first fell in love with in tattooing.
Yeah. And
it's kind of stopped me in my tracks where I'm like, I can't say shit. You know? Yeah.
No, absolutely. Well, on that note, so, you know, as, you know, we all know the sailor.
Ooh, familiarity, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Goes back to that.
It's definitely familiar, but I mean, I knew people that were tattooing with, you know, silent rotaries. You know, Bishops were already out when I started tattooing.
Like Neotat and stuff.
Yeah, my friend Ron, who owns a shop in Brooklyn, I went and guest spotted there, and he was just like...
that was Rotisserie Ron from Richmond? Just fucking with you.
You're on a roll. Sorry. Rotisserie Ron, dude.
So fucking
That's awesome,
stupid.
dude.
Okay, so he was using the silent but deadly machine. Go on.
He was SBDing all over the place, dude. Said, what stinks in here? Oh, it's just Ron. He's SBDing over there. But he had a Bishop, and so do you remember? But maybe they're still like this. I don't know. But you'd put a grommet on it.
Oh, the rubber band.
Rubber band.
Yeah.
Click in.
Yeah.
And I was like, you don't throw a rubber band on that thing? And he's like, my friend told me to buy one, and he said, plug and play.
Oh,
and this dude's like an OG
shit.
New Yorker, so he probably said it cooler than I'm saying it, you know, plug and play or whatever. And I'm pretty sure he still tattoos with that machine.
Yeah.
And he would line with it, and one of the most talented tattooers in the world, dude.
I just don't like a machine that doesn't have impact. Like it doesn't matter for soft shading or even like fine lines. Like you don't want impact, but like I want a slap, a pop, a crack. It's like I want to hammer down.
I don't want to feel like I'm skating on thin ice.
Yeah, and it's like you have to push. You have to push the machine into the skin. That's not what the machine's. It's just not. To me, it's like it's not supposed to do that. Like it doesn't.
Sure. Well,
I could figure it out, but I shouldn't have to.
Yes. Yeah. I have a couple of schools of thought on this. Some of them are opinions that are not my own, or it's hearsay.
Right.
But I used to work with a fella named Matt, and he used to work with another fella in Orange County. And this guy in the early 2000s had compared again, hearsay. I wasn't there. High speed camera, like a scientific strobe camera.
Okay.
On how the needle moves, coil versus rotaries.
Oh, okay, right.
So again, I wasn't there, but essentially the rotary straight up and down, jab, jab, jab. With the strobe, you know, with a strobe light, you get to see, you know how like workhorse irons or like Dan Cuban, he'll like have a video or like
oh, you're thinking of Destroy Troy with the armature bar. It's like, ooh, whoa,
like,
what's that?
Yeah, it's
right.
rubbery.
Yeah.
So he was doing something like
that. Kind of fooled a lot of people. A lot of people were like, oh shit, that fucking worked.
Yeah, rubber armature bars. That's the way of the future, dude.
Right,
the pen of the future. But he said essentially what they saw is that a rotary is straight up and down, exactly how you would imagine. Coil, it that armature bar slaps that front coil, and you get a sonic. I mean, it does make a sound, right? You get a wave pattern that follows all the way to the tip of those needles, just like fly fishing, and just a little whip at the end. And that little whip is with that feeling that, oh, this machine is actually putting it in for me. So you look at the evolution of rotary tattoo machines, and they didn't have give. They tried to make artificial give, blah, blah, blah. And then Dan Cuban was like, let's have it actually impact something.
Yep.
Let's have something slap something else. Sidewinder comes about. Genius.
Yeah.
Everyone is using one now because it's like it's essentially the most consistent coil machine you could have.
Yep.
It's doing the same motion, that needle getting that sonic boom, traveling all the way down to the tip of the needle and just flicking it in at the end. That little bit of wiggle helps,
Yeah.
That's what I perceive.
Yeah, people don't even people are like, oh, like, there was one time I got a walk-in recently, and we're all lining with like V3Rs and V7s and V46s. We use a lot of Dan Cuban stuff. And he's like, oh, nice, coil shop. I like this shit. This is what it's about. And we all laughed because
You should have the battery coils, dude.
Right. Like, I mean, it's like he does. I mean, he's getting, these are the most engineered, futuristic, cutting edge machines, but they have that classic. Again, you think about, you walk into the shop of the future, a call back to what you said, and they're using a silent pen and Game of Thrones is on. They're like, I want to be a tattooer, blah, blah, blah. Even though this is a brand new machine that came out fucking yesterday, it sounds like a shop. You walk in and it's not something different. It's
some people want that.
Right.
Most people want that, actually. They think they don't.
I think it's important. You know what I mean? So even the rotaries I use, like, they're not, people are now getting familiar with the word rotary and thinking it means pen. You know what I mean? So like, oh, like, yeah, I went to a shop that only uses rotaries. And I'm like, I'm only using rotaries right now. And they're like, oh, huh? They don't get it, It's kind of almost what happened with the Friday 13th deals ruined Flash, because they're like, oh, do you have any Flash? And we're like, yeah, it's fucking everywhere. And they're like, oh, what are the deals? Like, I don't know, $200 and up. That's the deal, And they're like, there's nothing for $20. And it's like, what? But they think Flash means Friday 13th Flash sale. They don't know what tattoo Flash is. They were the introductory of what Flash is. They just don't know any better. Introduction on what coil on rotary machine is pen. So it's kind of interesting,
My entire shop in Nashville is decked out with essentially exclusively production Flash. I have Jonesy, Percy Waters, and a lot of Spalding.
Oh shit! Everyone has Spalding and Pat Marnwick, but that's cool. You got.
I colored
Jonesy.
them all in though.
Yeah, I remember.
So I bought the antiques. And I've colored in hundreds of them, dude.
That's fun.
Carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
I'm just
you go colored pencil, or you do?
I actually did paint on a lot of it.
That's
dude.
cool.
If you work really fast, gouache, it doesn't stick to the old. Depends on what they printed on.
Yeah, because if it's more of a cardstock, it might just move around on top
slick.
of the paper. Yeah.
Yep. So it pulls up around, and so like you could fill out, like say it's a tiger, you can do the all the yellow, cover.
And then go black colored pencil or something.
Yes.
Okay, I like that.
I did a lot for efficiency, but it makes it all lumpy.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think that's cool.
But anyway, I find myself explaining to people, so did you do these? That's what I get a lot of. So are these your designs or... And I'm like, well, there's a history, before Ed Hardy opened his shop in San Francisco. And
what a mouthful for a walk-in.
Yeah, and then they're like, the T-shirt guy,
Oh, fuck.
And I'm like, well, actually, he learned under Sailor Jerry. And they're like,
This
the rum guy?
You're like, this TED Talk is getting long.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, just if you like it, get it. But I have to explain, well, Flash comes from this word and blah, blah, blah.
I actually had a client tell me I did a Sailor Jerry like hula girl on his arm, and it was poking out at work. He's a nurse, and they're like, oh shit, is that a Sailor Jerry? And he got like fucking hyped. He's like, yeah, like that's pretty cool. They know what's up. And he's like, yeah, I have that poster. It came with the bottle I bought. I love it, And it sucks, but like, I mean, it's cool. It's cool that like sometimes you have to hear the cover song to know the original, and maybe that's just what it is. And I don't know, that is what it is.
Yeah, and you can visibility is one of the most important things in marketing, right? Like if people don't know what they're looking for, they can't know if they've found it.
Yep.
And so for somebody that maybe doesn't know about traditional tattoos, like a lot of people don't even know what American traditional is. If you say Americana or sailor tattoos or something, they know that.
Yeah.
But it starts with this education, and they're like, they don't even know.
I've seen tattooers mislead clients by saying like, "Oh, I do a tattoo style," and they're like, and they think they're like one up, and I'm like, yeah, but they know the client fucking doesn't know what the fuck that means.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a certain point in which you just have to be honest with people and be like, man, sorry, in SoCal there's so many freaking scratchers, right?
Yeah.
We all know them.
Yeah.
We know what they're doing. We know they're on Facebook or whatever.
Dude, right now, we don't. Like right now it's like the entry point is lower, and I think because the influence, like now there's always been this, I don't fucking know, but there's popular people becoming tattooers right now. And because they move the needle, that's pretty good. Thank you. I like that. I do like that. Because of that, like you want what they have. They're already cool. They're already popular. They come into tattooing. They're at obviously a lower skill level. So you want to buy what they're peddling, right? But if there's a bunch of popular people who are new tattooers, then what they're selling is of that experience level. So then what becomes popular in tattooing is of that level. So it's like the most popular tattoo style would be kind of like what I thought when I liked punk rock tattoos. Like I wanted Gigi Allen's tattoos. I thought I liked shitty black tattoos, right? Because that's what I saw. And at the time in like the early 2000s, I did not like what was in the magazines for the most part. And looking back on those magazines, I still don't really like the stars with fucking colors and shit and Cadillac logo. It's not my thing, right? So I didn't see tattooing as like a representation of what I wanted to wear until later. Which is why I probably want to be a piercer at first before I got into tattooing. But what I'm trying to get at with that is now it's called ignorant style. Now people want a simple just outline, or they want just black, or there's people that suck and that's their thing. Like they coined the term scratcher as a term of endearment. And there's people that have just started tattooing a year, 2 years, 3 years, that they have a specialty and this is their, I don't know how they're special in any way, but they have a TikTok and they have a private studio and people
That's what
will
I
find
would
them.
argue.
Yeah.
They're not special.
Right.
They're actually selling you an inferior product on purpose.
Yeah, but they're marketing it.
Buck.
They're marketing it in a way where it's like it's enticing, and if the other popular person has it, then they want it too. And I mean, there's always going to be a better quality cobbler than the mass-produced slave wage Nike, but you want the slave wage Nike because the cool person has it. The cool person's not wearing the cobbler fucking Shrek shoe. Them fucking swamp stompers, dude. You want the 3D printed molded croc.
Where did you just come up with that?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So it's an inside joke. And I'll let you guys inside right now. So,
all right.
So my coworker Sean Cross, he bought these shoes and they look like they're just little leather like slippers, right? And I'm like, and I started kind of roasting him on his shoes. I'm like, those are the fucking Shrek shoes, And I was like, I'm like, what's up with that old timey ass footwear? And he's all like, actually, like they're from 1871, the style, and they only made 1,871 of this shoe. And I'm like, damn, are they hard to get? And he's like, no, you think people want to buy these? Like,
he knew.
Yeah, he knew. And so, so that's been a well-established joke. I cheated. That wasn't new in my routine, but yeah. Yeah.
You fooled me.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, so, I don't what else but yeah, so it's like quality is not really the popularity, because quality is not something that's mass scalable. Quantity is what's popular because that's what we could peddle out to the masses.
Well, you literally just said it. Popular. I did study music at a point in my life, and I had a teacher of music theory, and she was like the best piano player in Serbia or something. Right. She was from Eastern Europe, I believe.
Right.
It's a long time ago. But she said something to us that like it like broke my heart, dude, because I was in the metal scene, dude. I was a guitar player. She's like, if it's not classical, you all listen to pop music. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And the more I thought about it, she was right.
Right.
It's popular at the time. Now you go back and listen to say somebody that loved like The Devil Wears Prada.
Right.
And they're like, wow, like they're singing like an octave above what they can actually do, and like it just goes from that to like the breakdown, and they're like,
right,
you should have known or whatever, and you like you're like saying the lyrics. I remember I saw Killswitch Engage one time, and he like stopped in the middle of the show, and I'm sure he used this joke a lot. He was like, dude, I just realized we have like the lamest lyrics like ever.
So he's super self-aware.
I guess so at some
That's
point,
fun.
because it's all
like
about
that.
like my heart is broken
Right.
and blah blah blah.
Right.
I was listening to the other day. I was joking around with somebody, and we were talking about old Atreyu, and in that song's Right Side of the Bed, he's like, "Have you?" or what does he say? Have you ever cried so hard? And I was like, we were all like just like jamming it, and like 2004, and then we're like, have I ever cried so hard? Like, that's pretty lame, dude.
But that's what it takes. Like, it takes just like a solid, relatable quote, you know? And I think if you could do that, if you can make that pop, lyric, then it kind of becomes timeless, because it's not really of a time period. It's just of a feeling. I kind of revisited this, like this last week. I started listening to, in high school, I was really into street punk. So I like the Unseen and the Virus and like Defiance, and it's all just like negative generalizations, and there's this one song, it's like, fuck this city, why are you really happy when you're living in shit? And it's like, or it's like, it's just these general just wham. You know what I mean? It's not a far cry from the cry music you fucking mentioned right now, but it's all just teenage angst, and teenage angst will always find its way. And it's the same reason why like certain bands are timeless. Like in every high school, and I'll say all over the world, like there'll always be like a couple of kids wearing a Joy Division t-shirt. You know what I mean? Like there's certain bands that will just always find the youth, and it's brand new, relevant today to you.
Nirvana.
Yeah, for sure. Like there's always, if you could just hack it just right, just speak of like a true feeling, make it catchy, it'll always work. And maybe you'll grow out of it because you're not in that feeling anymore, but your kid will fucking come 14 one day and it'll hit really hard for them too, Yeah. Popular music.
But it is popular, and it's popular for a time, and usually what's popular no longer becomes popular. Like I tell people all the time,
but it can come back around and become classic.
It can,
but it'll go away again.
Only out of irony usually. So right now, lower back tribal tattoos have come back, but it's only out of irony. They don't actually think it looks good.
It's almost like a punk rock rebellion of like, I know no one likes this, that's why I like it.
Yeah, it's like cringe humor, like with the Gen Zers,
But also,
they just make jokes about like beans and stuff.
There is something to be said for like,
weird.
Like dig this, the generation prior to us, their parents came back from war with the tattoos that we trace, right? And to us, it's like unobtainable because it's just like a little bit out of the reach, so it feels important to us, right? But the generation right now, their parents had, Old English, biker tattoos, prison tattoos, tribal tattoos, 80s tattoos. And so now that their first tattoos they saw, that is now classic. So that's why hipsters want like prison tattoos. You know what I mean? Because to them they're like, oh no, this is classic.
Dude, I had a 17-year-old accompany her brother to get tattooed the other day. He was getting his first tattoo. He just turned 18. I did a freaking black and gray realism tattoo on him.
Fuck
so,
yeah.
Yeah. Word of mouth, baby. I don't have to play the Instagram game.
Yeah.
But she said, yeah, when I do, I'm always hustling, dude, always selling tats, so I'm like, when you turn 18, you know where to go. Here's my card, blah, blah, blah. What are you thinking about? Blah, blah, blah. Just hustling.
Right.
And she said, I might be remembering this wrong. Maybe it wasn't her, but anyway, some young person said, when I turn 18, I want to get a Nightmare Before Christmas tattoo. Matter of fact, I think I want a whole sleeve. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're coming back. Dude.
Yeah, it's like no way, I've never done that before. I'm currently working on one right now, actually. I swear. Yeah, right now. Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah.
Or,
well, it got mixed up because I just did like at first it was Jack Skellington, and then the next one was like a Sally with like the Ghost Dog revival. Like that callback.
Yeah.
And then the next one I did was like a Beetlejuice sandworm, so it changed up on him a little bit. But
It's just a nostalgic.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's
I
fun.
feel like that's something I've really noticed, and I started to see a few years ago, starting to develop in tattooing. It seems like that is the most popular thing right now. Just nostalgia in general.
Yeah.
Like, people are getting anime, video game tats.
Dude, anime is the new traditional, bro.
Yeah.
For real.
The freaking Star Wars, like, there's
Yeah.
a new emergence of Star Wars fans. It's weird. Tattooing kids, and they're like, yeah, episode 1 is my favorite. And I'm like,
oh, weird,
what?
huh? Yeah.
And they're like, well, that's the one I grew up on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you did?
Ooh,
Are you really old enough to get tattoos?
I'll switch it up in a crazy way. So as a kid, Star Wars, cool, like the movie, but it wasn't like Star Wars. You're not allowed to just like it. It's either like your religion.
You have to be a fan.
Yes, like you love it, or you're like, no, man, Star Trek. It's like one or the other. It's like Ford and GM or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was just I was just like, oh yeah, cool movie, like whatever. It just didn't hit me the way it hit everyone else for some reason. And I love sci-fi shit, but for some reason it just, I don't know, maybe I just for some reason it wasn't it. But I watched The Mandalorian and Grogu was really cute, you know? And so I'm like a fucking Mandalorian fan. And then it makes me look at Star Wars differently where I'm like, okay, this is a good cover song. Maybe I'll go back and rewatch Star Wars again. And I watch it from a different perspective than I'd watched it then. To where it's like, even though, you know, I am the age I am and I've known about Star Wars forever, I might be becoming a Star Wars fan now.
Dude, it's cooler as an adult because... You know, as I'm unapologetically like sci-fi nerd. Like, I mean, it's the theme of my shop, right? Is like I'm all about, especially like 60s and 70s sci-fi stuff. Well, a lot of the Star Wars plot is actually stolen from Dune.
Oh, for sure.
Sci-fi book of all time. I've read the whole series, which is a lot.
And then Dune's super smart in where it brought everything from, because it's got like a lot of deep like historical context and different like cultures and religions and throat singing. And
that's the creative process, right? Is we've all had that moment, particularly creators. You're thinking, how do I make this cool? How do I make this cool? How to make this cool? Well, I don't know. I'm really frustrated. I'm just gonna, whatever. Go to the bathroom, take a shower. I'm just making myself lunch, and it freaking hits you. And usually what it is, and I've read, multiple books about this subject, is you took two things that seemed incongruent and you put them together in a new way. Like metalcore,
Right. Okay.
Right? Like, why do we have core in there?
Right.
Because it comes from hardcore punk.
Right.
Well, what's hardcore punk about it? It's so like separated now, then it became deathcore, then it became
so it's like new
doom.
and special, but it's familiar because it comes from something that was already
Yes, you're not actually creating a new idea. So you look at Dune and it's like, well, the dude took Middle Eastern culture, he took ancient religion, he took the messianic story from the Bible, he came up with all these cool words. I mean, it's funny, like all the names in Dune, they're so bizarre. Shai Halud, and they're supposed to sound Middle Eastern, and some of them actually translate to certain words. And then there's just like Paul,
right,
like just a dude named Paul, which is a Middle Eastern name, right? That's why it's in the Bible. But it's really interesting to think of that. And Star Wars is so genius because I always come back to Han Solo, dude. He doesn't believe in this religious crap.
Right.
He's got this. I mean, look at his spaceship, dude. What is that shape?
Right.
You can't pick like anything that it's shaped like. I heard the story of how he came up with this shape. No, that's the Starship Enterprise. But anyway, it looks like nothing, right? And then like they're like truckers though. So he's like, hand me the blah, blah, blah tool to fix the nuclear, it's not nuclear, it's the fusion reactor or whatever. Right. And like, if the hyperdrive is broken, I can't make the jump to light speed. Like none of those things are real, but they sound like you could almost
they're relatable.
Understand.
It makes you feel like you could live in that. Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, the warp drive's broken. Like, let me go fix it. And so, no, hand me the other one. It's just like, It's so creative, and Han Solo's outfit.
It's
You look,
smart.
all their haircuts are 70s.
Right.
They're wearing leather boots, but it's supposed to be,
Right.
like it doesn't make sense, but it's 70s culture, 70s American culture, transplanted into a galaxy far, far away.
And you can see yourself in that galaxy far, far away.
At that time, like Isaac Asimov one time was being interviewed, the famous author of sci-fi. He's being interviewed, and they said, "Wow, aren't you amazed that you've predicted all these things correct?" And he's like, "Of course, I was supposed to get some right. It's bound to happen. Sometimes you get it wrong." He's like, "But think about this: you're always living in a paradigm of like what you know. So maybe we're living in the paradigm of the tattoo pen now, or whatever. But if you would have asked a person, if you would have told a person 100 years ago, well, let's say 200 now, in the future, you will be able to travel 200 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah. You die. You can't go that fast. Human body can't do that.
Well, you know what they would say? They'd be like, what kind of horse can run 200 miles an hour?
Oh.
That's the paradigm they lived in. The fastest thing was a freaking horse.
That's only like a reference, yeah.
They didn't even, I mean, they probably didn't even know what a cheetah was. There's this reference book I used to have. I might still have it. And it's called like Real and Fanciful Animals. And it was done by a husband and wife duo, like in the 1500s or something.
Oh, shit.
All engraved, flawless, dude. So crazy. But I'm looking through this book, and I was looking at it with some coworkers, and we're like, why do the monkeys look so weird? And why do the elephants look so weird? Because they'd almost like have like human faces sometimes, and like very bizarre.
Right.
And then we realized they've only maybe read about them or heard about them.
It's like Jonah and the whale.
Well, they've never. How can you draw a tiger if you've never seen it?
Yeah, it's like you're just going off of like what you heard.
Yeah, like a whale. It's a big fish. Well, just draw a big fish.
Right. Totally. Exactly.
Right. It's a big trout or whatever. So that's like a paradigm. And so like when I look at old sci-fi stuff, it's like, Dune came out in 1965. Right as the beatnik movement is starting.
Right.
It's all about everybody's addicted to spice and like they want to live a long time. They're turning religion on its head. There's there's so many concepts. There's sexual freedom in this universe, and there's witchcraft is in vogue, and like there's all these very interesting things. It's like, well, it was just actually a mirror to the time.
For sure.
But it took place in space, and
right.
There were sandworms.
Well, I think we're in this weird thing now where it's like they're not making movies right now unless it's a remake.
Ugh,
so,
me nuts.
But here's the thing too, where it's like, what's coming out right now this time that's going to be reminiscent of this time when we're living in the time from before, when all the superhero movies are from then, when all the movies are remakes from then. What will 2020 to 30 have to show for this time period?
Not much.
Yeah.
Not much. I mean, I would say the Dune movies.
Right. But even that
it wasn't even their idea. I would say probably like Inception.
Okay.
Tenet. Those kind of movies. Interstellar. I mean,
oh
dude,
my God.
I almost cry every time I watch that.
Dude,
movie.
I watched
it's
it.
So beautiful.
I watched
so
that movie.
Smart.
I watched that movie. The first time I watched it, I was confused. I watched it. It was late. Yes, he fell asleep. I watched it again the next one. Like, you have to fucking watch this. We watched it together. I watched it, twice in a row. I watched that movie now at least like 6 or 7 times. Life-changing.
It is really life-changing, and it's like almost, and this is the way I think about my career as well, even though I don't really care about like that aspect of like a history, like after I pass away or, leave the business or whatever. It's like, if you can do the craziest, best version of whatever you are trying to accomplish that day, like you just made history in a way. And a lot of time, a lot of people are interested in working at my shop. And when I interview them, I say, hey, would you rather do like, 20 whatever tats per week, or would you rather do one tattoo that changes the world? Like, dude, and this is just the way I am, right? I'm very logical. I'm a big planner. I do color studies if I feel uncomfortable with it. I've tried 6 different things by time they see the final drawing. And, I save the old layers just in case they tweak the whatever. And I really try and be like, this is better than the tattoo I did yesterday.
Right.
You know? And so I look at something like those movies or in Star Wars. I mean, I think like the oldest person that worked on the set of Star Wars was like 29 years old.
Oh, shit.
Harrison Ford was a set builder.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked him to stand in on a line. They had somebody else picked for Han Solo.
Whoa.
They asked him to stand in on a line. They're like, that's freaking Han Solo, not the guy we're paying gobs of money for.
I never knew that.
It's just like the history behind it.
Yeah.
They were building the ship while they were flying it.
Yeah.
There you go. That's my joke of the day.
Damn.
Their starship.
Yeah. That's crazy.
But yeah, and they ended up forming Light and Sound Studios, I believe it's called. Light and Magic, maybe? Studios. As a result of that, all these young kids like figured out the way.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The documentary's on Disney Plus.
What's it called?
I think it's called Light and Magic or something.
Light and Magic.
But it's all about the making of, and it's like, dude, they were literally making it all up. They're like, I wonder if there's a way where we could have a camera, because they had to get the shot like of, we're talking about episode 1,
right?
Or excuse me, that would be episode 4.
Oh yeah, okay.
See,
that's funny.
See, he already. If you ever notice, if you ever go back and watch it,
yeah,
what we call A New Hope now.
Mm-hmm.
It says when that the famous yellow script starts coming down or coming up the screen, it says episode 4. To begin with, he already knew there was going to be an episode 1, 2, 3.
Right.
It was such a big idea.
Yeah.
It was genius. Mad respect. And so, anyway, in that movie, he's going through, what would you call that? The tunnel where he's trying to land that one bomb to destroy the Death Star.
Okay.
He's through the, what would you call that? The valley, whatever.
I don't know.
Anyway, it was a miniature model, right?
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, like they weren't going to build a life-size freaking set that's 5 miles long and send a camera down it.
Yeah.
How did they do that? And it turned out the one guy that
that
was
changes the way you watch the movie completely, huh?
I nerd out on this stuff.
I feel like that would make me love Star Wars. Like this is not as close to that, but like I already loved the movie, but like I watched like a YouTube video and it was all this behind the scenes footage from what's the Never Ending Story, and it was like Falcor. Yeah. And Falcor was like a giant fucking puppet, you know? And then the scene when like the nothing is taking over and he's like grabbing on, the wind's blowing. They turn the set sideways and this kid's like hanging 30 feet in the air and they're dumping dirt on his face. Like that's how he's hanging sideways. Wow. He's actually hanging from something.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, you know, and it's like it's so cool that like these are all like real like practical effects. They're not just like tricks, you know?
Life hack, if you ever watch those movies and you really want to like learn about them, a lot of time they have an additional audio track that's commentary.
Oh right, I never watched that. You watched
the
those?
Alien box set, and I usually watch the movie and listen to the
I've only done that. That's crazy.
Seen it hundreds of times.
Right. Yeah. So I've only done that with a couple Simpsons episodes because I had like the Simpsons seasons, and it was like I want to hear like how they wrote this or how that happened. But I feel like if I peeled back the curtain a little bit on Star Wars, I feel like I'd probably have a different perspective on it. You know, like because when I look back on this old movie, it just looks old. You know what I mean? But when you understand, like, and that's maybe how some people will look at these tattoos, like, oh, those are just old. But if they really knew what we knew and what went into it and where it came from and why it's important, if it was familiar to them as it is to us, they would understand it, have a perspective on it that they don't have, you know? Like, I feel like in tattooing, like, we're really just trying to impress our peers. You know, we're really trying to sell tattoos to our coworkers who aren't buying them, you know, like if we really cared, we would be just putting anime on the fucking wall.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that, dude. You just buy like a book of just screen grabs from Akira and just like blast the wall, dude. Yeah, we got flash for days.
Dude, you could just trim them out, with like maybe those little craft scissors that make the little wrinkly, like kind of Triscuit looking little
Yeah.
Cheez-It looking outline. And then you could just paste it on like some construction paper, frame it 11 by 14. Like, damn, that looks just like the actual manga blah, blah, blah thing.
You get a clip-on chomage, dude, and then you start taboriing that crap, dude.
Yeah.
You'll be the busiest tatter.
For real.
For about 5 minutes, but...
No. I think we're on to something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, but like there's you're absolutely right. But what I see is like longevity in the original idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like to go back to the movie of Alien.
Mm-hmm.
That's like one of my favorite movies, probably my favorite. I don't know.
Mm.
Oddly enough, it's between that and Dumb and Dumber. So
Really?
Yeah. Dumb and Dumber is genius. And there's a lot of cool lore behind that, too.
Huh.
But
I've been watching like a bunch of Harlan Williams interviews like the last couple days.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and he was just the cop in Dumb and Dumber for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I love him.
He's awesome.
Do you remember the movie, it came out when we were kids, Rocket Man with him?
Ugh.
It came out in 1996. I only know because I Googled it today. When I searched Rocket Man, I found what popped up was the Elton John thing, which was also great. But then I was like, no, I swear it's called Rocket Man. And I saw it came out when I was like 6 or whatever. But I remember the movie, but I don't remember it. But I remember loving it. It's just goofy, slapstick, dumb comedy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy gets hit in the nuts and it goes, boing.
Yeah, probably.
Well, all
yeah.
the sound effects.
Yeah. In the picture, yes, he was like, wasn't that like Pee-wee? And I'm like, no, it's not Pee-wee. But when I looked at the pictures, like I get it. And one of the pictures is him like in it, like floating in like a spacesuit. The spacesuit's all inflated. And if I remember correctly, I think he had gas and he was farting in the...
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. They're like, probably crack some joke like, Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So that's on the homework list for everyone to watch. Rocket Man, 1996 or 1997,
gosh.
Harlan Williams.
That
Streaming on somewhere.
Awesome. Yeah, dude. A very low budget.
Right. That's going to be on a Tubi or something.
Yeah. You got to watch like 18 minutes of commercials.
That's like somewhere in your Samsung TV free channels that you don't actually you click on an accident. Yeah.
Your Airbnb. You're like, I guess I'll watch this.
Right.
I don't feel like figuring
Have
out
you ever
the
found those?
interface.
Like sometimes you find just a Pawn Stars channel. You're like, what the fuck? Okay, I'm going to watch Pawn Stars. Like we have one where it was like, it just whenever you turn on the TV, it would go to some Samsung TV, and they had these channels, and it was nothing but like Degrassi, Next Generation, just Drake, just in a wheelchair, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, I love this shit when it came out. Yeah.
When I was just in San Diego area for this wedding that I traveled out here for, the hotel that we were staying at, they had like a Roku TV or whatever,
right? Okay,
and there was a channel that was only the infomercial for Total Gym, like
no
24
way.
hours a day. It was the Total Gym channel.
Oh,
I don't know if
totally. I remember seeing like being up too late.
Love that.
I remember when I was a kid, like when you'd be up too late, like after 1 a.m., it was just Tony Little Gazelle commercials.
Oh my
it was
God.
just infomercials all night. Like there was nothing. It was like time for bed.
True
Nothing else
story.
to
When
watch.
I was a kid, I had a really hard time sleeping. I've told this story many times, but the rest of my family did not. So I would wake up at 3, 4 a.m. My house was really creaky. It was all made out of wood. My dad made it like this 1800 style.
Mm-hmm.
So I could only like listen to TV on like one, you
Right.
know, I usually colored and stuff. So that's my background in art. But I used to just, I only had 5 channels or whatever. We just had bunny ears on our television.
Right.
And I would memorize infomercials.
Damn.
So to this day,
It's kind of sad.
little boy,
Yeah.
just me and Ron Popeil, just
Right.
showtiming it, dude.
Yeah. That's crazy. I get it though. I mean, yeah, commercials were important. That was like the inside joke and the quote. Like, I mean, and also it kind of influenced like fashion way. Do you remember like when we were kids, like when you go to like the Walmart to buy the t-shirt, it was always like, it was like the first memes ever made and it'd be like, I do my own stunts. Like, do you remember those shirts? It was always a hot catchphrase on a shirt.
Yeah, I remember watching Ace of Cakes. It was
I don't remember
was
that.
like the stoner dude who made custom, cakes out of fondant on the Food Network channel.
Okay,
And,
sick.
Like, it's funny if you go back and watch it as an adult, you're like, oh my gosh, every employee in that place is blazed, dude. They're all like So you want it to turn into a castle, and
I
you
feel
want
like
a moat of lava,
right.
But anyway, I was watching this show, and I don't know what I was gonna say about freaking Ace of Cake.
I've been watching Is It Cake with Yessie, and like I feel like the fondant is cheating. It's a low blow. I'm a purist. I want to be able to bite in that bitch. I don't want no fondant.
Yeah, it just
no one's
feels
eating
like
those realistic
Play-Doh.
cakes. Yeah, he can't even cut through it.
It's like congratulations, I guess. You
Right.
know? It'd be like doing a tattoo. You know, we've all seen the video of the guy doing a tattoo with his feet. It's like,
oh
congratulations, I guess.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I guess.
Foot fetish dream.
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino, dude. He's stoked.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's the only tattoo he wants, dude.
Oh man. Well, all right. Let's go through a new chapter because we've been going. Let's talk about you moved from the east, moved to the west, and then you're in the mid east. Is that what that's called?
The South?
Yeah. The South. Yeah, okay.
The start of the South.
Yeah, I'm a giveaway. I'm from California. So you moved to Nashville. You've been there for 5 years now?
About, yeah.
Yeah. And so let's talk about the quest of starting Starfolk.
Wow. But yeah, so we've been doing that. I'm locked in there for a while, so we'll see how it goes. And I don't think the name will change. I
want to visit.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Am I Starfolk enough? I like Grogu.
You can folk it up, dude.
Yeah, that's
I like
cool.
Grogu. Yeah, dude, I'll introduce you to some music
that'd be cool. I'd love that.
Listen to.
I would love that. Yeah, my country is pretty. I mean, I'm a poser. I'm like, I like Johnny Cash. You know. I mean, I like some like more like I like folky stuff. But yeah, no, that's a different world that's unexplored for me. That'd be exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, old Willie Nelson, dude. Mm-hmm. Old Eddie Arnold, Marty Robbins.
How old? I heard this yesterday, but I don't know if it's true because it sounds crazy. How old is Willie Nelson?
He's 90, if not 91.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, he had his birthday party was a big bash, and he played. I mean, the dude. We were just talking about
the secret is in a sweet leaf. And we don't.
He's pickled, dude.
We don't get that sweet relief. We're not gonna look like Willie when we're 90.
I think he's one of the smartest dudes in music. Genius guitar player, genius lyricist. And I'm a person that historically I didn't even listen to lyrics. But if you pay attention to his lyrics, dude, they will rock your world. But what I was saying was I'm married to a musician. Mm-hmm. A very high performing musician. I mean, my wife, when she sings, she sounds like she has auto-tune on if you're sitting right next to her because it's pitch perfect and smooth. But she's like, when I show her Willie Nelson, it's not like really her bag, but she digs Willie Nelson, even the modern stuff, the videos from like last year.
Right.
Because he keeps getting better. It's really weird because you go, you hear people went to see Dylan.
And it's
I'm
not
a Bob
what it
Dylan
was.
fan, and they're just like, dude, not only was it rough, like I almost feel like I got robbed. And like, sorry, Bob, but like you had your day, man. You're just get off the gravy train, bro.
Right.
I don't want to pay for those tickets.
Yeah.
But Willie, dude,
he's got it.
He keeps getting better. Yeah, he's playing the same guitar, Trigger.
Damn.
It's named Trigger.
He's had the same guitar for...
Yes.
That's his thing.
He put an electric pickup in a classical guitar. It wasn't meant to do. And its name is Trigger, which is Roy Rogers' horse.
Huh.
It's so cool, man.
Whole different world.
Coolest. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a ghostwriter for a while. He just wrote like rad songs for all the famous country people, you know.
Damn.
Yeah, he's really smart. But anyway, come to Nashville. We'll rock some tats and
rock your world.
Rock some. Yeah, it doesn't sound like you'll need to bring your pigments, dude. I asked you what you use, and I was like, yeah, you use powder. Sick. That's what I use.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Well, until then, thank you so much for doing this. It was fun.
You're very welcome, man.
It's a good excuse to sit down and hang out because I feel like as tattooers, when we work together, we're just working together. We're not really like broing down like this. It's across the room, but it's like I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of my friends, when I really connect with them, it's kind of like in this platform, you know?
Yeah. I call people on the phone once a year or something.
That's good.
I'll be like, yeah, I haven't talked to you in a long time.
Yeah.
I think I've texted you just randomly a couple times, been like, "What's up?"
You gotta call me though. Calling's different. Calling's a different level. I want that level.
You want to get on the list?
I want a list.
Wait in line.
Yeah,
No,
damn it.
I'm just kidding.
That's kind of true though. I have a few friends on the list, and they've been waiting in line, and I've been bad friend on calling them back.
Well, it's like you probably have like one afternoon a week where it's like, all right, I have time to call one person.
You just gotta make the time, yeah.
Yeah. So you're just a really bad person.
Yeah, I know. But I made the time today, and this was a good time.
Yep. Thanks for having me, dude.
Foot high five.
With my Shrek boots, dude.
The foot high five's a new invention. Let's be quite honest. Little quick edit. Just we all know the foot high five is big in Brazil. It's new here. We've gentrified it. We've made it American. And this trend is quite literally sweeping the nation. Feet are flying across rooms. Toes, 5 times 5 are making 10. Toes are interlocking, intermingling, and people are making friends. So, if you dug this interview and you made it towards the end, in the comments, write foot high five. So I know that you made it through. And I appreciate you. I want to bring out more of these. I've just been kind of busy with the shop. As I said, Norco tattoos take a lot of my time. As Jordan said, I'm a bad friend. It's hard to make time to call your friends. So, thank you for sticking it through and making me a part of your week. And if you find yourself down south, make sure to visit Starfolk Tattoo. See Jordan Brill. Tell him I sent you. If you find yourself southwest on the other over here in, Riverside or Norco, hit up me. Tell me that I sent you. So, Thank you again. Foot high five. Till next time.